I see the red button. That should let you know when we live. Okay, we live. All right. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, you're tuning in to the Vulcan Soapbox. Thank you for joining us. Thank you. Welcome back. I am your gracious host, Enos, and today we're going to cover another requested topic. We got a few guests. I want to introduce D. Jones. Got any words you want to tell our audience before we start, bro?
Yeah, man. I just want to say thank you so much for allowing me to be here. I'm D Jones. I am a host, entrepreneur of the podcast. If this mic could talk, so just ready to hear. You know what I'm saying? Ready to be here and talk and just have some good conversation with some fellas tonight.
For sure, for sure. Make sure at the end of the show you can give people your links and other things you're doing as far as your entrepreneur and your podcast. Be sure to mention that again. What's up,
Sure.
Derek?
What's up, everybody? All I would ask is, my name is Derek, and all I would ask is keep an open mind. There's going to
Hmm.
be a lot of information given today, a different point of views, and you never know, you might learn something.
Yes, yes, man. And Coach, what's going on?
Man, another day, another $1 million, my brother. I'm the poetic purpose coach. I push people to pursue purpose. And I'm just glad to be here, man. Transformational teacher, motivational speaker, and life coach. Glad to be here.
Man, glad to have you, man. Vulcan.
What's going on, everybody? Thanks for tuning in to the show. I made the video public now, so anybody wants to share, anybody wants to come on the show, or leave comments, feel free to do so. Inbox me, let me know. We can get you the link. Might even post it in the comments section too, so you can get easier access to it. I'm ready to get into it.
All right, let's get into it. Today's topic. Oh, well, we're going to cover a few topics, but the main theme of the show is the seven secrets of law of attraction, where really is a manifestation, but law of attraction, I like to say tomato, tomato. We're going to get right into it. I'm going to post this on the screen. Be sure. Before I start, what up? Help the bear said, what up, so boss, what's up, my guy? Funny, funny profile pic. Yeah. Yeah, so anybody who wants to tune in, who got an opinion or wants to join the conversation, be sure to join the link. We will post the link in the comments. Man, feel free to join us in this discussion. Uh, so, yeah, the secrets of seven laws of attraction. That's what we're going to be covering today. And we get to the first law. Like I said, seven laws. Let me make sure the audience can see this. All right, that's better. All right, seven laws. The first law we're going to cover is the law of manifestation. Law means that anything we focus on constantly will manifest in our lives. Everything that we think about is mirrored in our outside world. So your mind is powerful manifestation tool. The more positive things you focus on, the more positive you will come into your life. Question for the panel. We'll go ahead and start with our first newest guest, D. Jones. Do you think this definition is true or false? Now, just state true or false. We're gonna go around the room, and then we're gonna come back and you can explain why you think it's true or false. So that's the rules, okay?
Yeah.
All right.
I think it's definitely true.
All right, true. Let's go with Derek.
I'm going to go with false.
All right, Derek, true. We got D. Jones, Derek, Coach.
That's a hard one, man. I'm gonna say false.
All right, false. We got two false. We got one true, and then Vulcan.
I'm gonna go on this one. I have to go false on it,
All right,
but there's
so
definitely some truth to it.
definitely some true. All right,
Agreed.
all right. Since D. Jones, you said it was true. Go ahead and explain why. Let's start with you first.
Yeah, cool. I'm the alien in the room. That's cool. I can you put the definition up again? I just want to make sure. You know what I'm saying? But I'm gonna keep talking. But um,
I
I,
got you.
I really I really do believe that like manifestation and manifest, like they had a show called Manifest and all these type of things that you hear a lot. I think manifestation at this point is becoming like a trend. I think words sometimes become trends. I think thoughts that people have become trends. But I do think that there's power in the tongue and in the mind. I think words can be either poisonous or nurturing. I think people have to be mindful of what they say and what they speak over themselves. I always compare it to like relationships. I tell people all the time. A lot of times, a woman can be with a man and wonder why he doesn't have any oomph about him, why he don't want to have any get up, why he's not motivated to want to move as a man. But she's constantly talking bad about that same man. And I think a lot of times, what we speak, what we put out there, whether it's writing it down, speaking it out loud, even thinking it, sometimes comes to pass. So that's why I say true.
Okay. So if I could simplify what you're saying, basically you're saying the words are powerful. So the words you speak out to existence, this is proof that this law is actually true, right?
Yeah, I think
That
there's a
that
lot of
that's the
power in the tongue.
power in the tongue. All right. Let's go with Coach. I know you said false, and you said there was some truth to it. So do
Yeah,
you
I
want
mean,
to explain why?
I agree with everything brother just said. The only reason why I stated false was because there are some instances to no matter how bad you may want to think about a thing, if God says it's not for you, it's not for you. You're not gonna have it. But under most circumstances, man, I really do believe that you can bring about what you think about and speak about. So that's the reason why I said that.
All right. So okay. So okay, I get what you. All right. Let's go with Derek.
I guess the thing for me is the word law. Like law means if I have a weapon or gun and I shoot a bullet and it comes out, the law is that's gonna hurt somebody. That for me, that's when I think of a law of manifestation. Just because somebody's right on a certain day because they said something or they thought something for 20 years or whatever. I mean, even a broken clock is right once in a day. So I would say this. I agree with the words are powerful. Words can be poisonous. I mean, there's so many studies on that, but for it to be a law, that's my only concern with why I said false.
Mm.
All right.
Again, power in the tongue. See.
Mm-hmm. Well, you want to speak to that? Explain why.
Yes, I think all of these gentlemen said really good points.
Mm-hmm.
For me, it's we talking about the law of manifestation. A lot of it, for me, that's an issue is the fact that it lacks any real way of testing it. So then you run into biases like confirmation bias. Confirmation bias is whenever when you see things that confirm what you already want to believe, you look at that as confirmation that what you believe is true. And there's been a lot of studies done on this manifestation thing, like it's saying that what you focus on manifests. Like let's say I'm trying to figure out what kind of car I want to get, sorry, what color car I want to get. Don't want to get a Honda, right? So sorry, let's make it simple. I want to get a Honda. So I'm talking to D Jones and Derek about getting a Honda, and then now I'm driving, I'm seeing Hondas everywhere. And I'm thinking like, wow, this is manifesting like this manifestation is so powerful. I'm starting to manifest Hondas on the road. So am I manifesting Hondas, or is it what science tells us, which is that once you tell your mind to focus on something, it's gonna be more aware of its existence everywhere. So those Hondas were always there, but before you actually thought about getting a Honda, you didn't notice them. People will use that and go, "That's the manifestation right there. I'm manifesting it." Then you meet a friend named Honda, and it's like, "Oh, I'm manifesting it. It's all the Hondas are coming to me." Then somebody said "duh" one time when I was talking. I got the duh. Then I watching a kung fu flick and there was a guy named Han. Watching Star Wars, Han Solo, right? Something. Oh wow, all these Hondas are manifesting around me. Is it that, or just I'm focusing on Honda more than ever before? So that's my issue with a lot of these laws we're going to get into is that their lack of being able to test to see if it's true or not.
Mm.
How do you do that? So yeah, that's my issue with the law of manifestation.
Mm. I was gonna say
D
that was a
Jones.
great. Oh, that was a great point. I was gonna say, Jan, you sound like I taught you well. Good job, buddy. That was a good point. Good point. Great point.
All right. All right. So we're going into we're going to segue for a minute, but before I do that, I want to read But y'all keep talking. I got to pull up another slide. Y'all can continue. Anybody else want to add on to what Vulcan just said?
I do want to say this real quick, Vulcan. My bad, I kept saying your real name, Vulcan. My bad. I want to say this.
Say my name, homie.
So when you think about, so I heard somebody. I want to get your quick thought on it. I heard somebody recently come on my podcast, and she said that she wanted to get an Audi. You know, because you brought up cars, Honda. She wanted to get an Audi. That was like her dream car, a certain Audi. And she said she went on a what she calls a faith field trip. And I actually been seeing this a lot on social media after she brought it up to me. Faith field trip. She went to a car dealership. She went to the Audi dealership. She sat in the exact model that she wanted. She prayed about it, and then 3 months later, she won a contest and won that exact model of Audi. And so a lot of people look at that as, you manifested it, you know what I'm saying? And I know Coach was saying earlier, like, if it's not God's will, you're not going to have it, which I totally agree with. But like, what is your thought in particular, Vulcan, about like that? Do you think that's just like a, chance, or do you think that's like a different type of thing?
I would say, I mean, obviously, I wouldn't be in a position to know. And I
Mhm.
want to say this: my concern with these laws of attraction, is how it's taught. Not
Mhm.
so much that we can't pray for things and it can happen. I'm definitely a believer in prayer and things happening, but it harkens back to Derek's point about it being a law.
Right.
If somebody would tell her, "Hey, look, if you pray for this, you're gonna get this car," I would step in and be like, "You shouldn't say that about God like that." I'm gonna take offense on God's behalf, because you're basically saying that God is obligated to do something when God is the only true autonomous being in the universe.
Right.
Nothing puts some type of condition on God or constrains God in some kind of way that he must act in this way or that way outside of his own word and his own name.
Right.
So that's why for me it'd be an issue. But I would tell somebody, hey, look, pray for a certain car you want, pray for a certain whatever it is. I'll be all for that. Does that answer the question, or anybody else? I don't know if anybody wants to tackle that or
Yeah. That was,
All right.
I have rebuttal to that though a little bit, because sometimes when we the things that we bring about, because though I said earlier the God doesn't want it for you, that's for people that are his children. Not everybody's a child of God, you know. So the thing about it is, if you're not a child of his, you're not a believer, then you can definitely do those things, because there's a difference between you bringing about something and believing that it was God that brought it to you, or just the things that you put into the atmosphere that brought it towards you. Not everything that comes to you from God is what I'm saying.
yes.
All
I
right.
would definitely agree
So
with that.
so I'm not going to say that well, you can pray for it and God didn't give it to you because he doesn't want you to have it. You're not even a child of his, because that doesn't apply. So that's what I mean by that.
Yeah, you know what? I had this conversation with Derek. Were you trying to? Would you want to say something?
No, I'm good.
So yeah. So Derek. So you know. So you ready already?
No, you go ahead. Finish your statement. Then I can go after
Okay.
that.
So yeah. So one thing I do want to say, because Coach brings up a really good point about that. I was having this conversation recently with somebody about with a guy, and I'm not judging the guy's lifestyle or whatever. You know what I'm saying? You know, or setting myself up to be some kind of standard of a lifestyle either. I'm just interpreting the text right here, everybody. So hear me. I'm just interpreting the text. And what happens is the Bible's clear in Proverbs that if you're not following the laws of God, as far as living righteously and hating sin and all that goes along with that kind of stuff, if you're doing that as a lifestyle, your prayers are an abomination to God. And that's part of the issue with a lot of this manifestation. And that's what we're going to have to get into a little bit. I think that's one of the questions probably coming up anyway.
Mhm.
But so I'll save that because I don't want, I think we're going to get into the biblical a little bit, right?
Yes, sir. But
Okay,
first,
yes.
let's go over some definitions, go over the fallacy called confirmation bias, people tendencies to process information by looking for or interpreting information that is consistent with their existing beliefs. This bias approach to decision making is largely unintentional, and it results in a person ignoring information that is inconsistent with their beliefs. These beliefs can include a person's expectations and given a situation and their predictions about a particular outcome. People are especially likely to process this information to support their own beliefs when an issue is highly important or self-relevant. All right, so we can go ahead and move on. I just want to make sure that we define our terms on the show. That's something that we make a habit of, especially when we're calling out a lot of faulty arguments. It's important for us to do that so we can keep the viewers and listeners up to speed. So the next question I got for the guys, and matter of fact, I want to go ahead and take it to D Jones because you said the power of the tongue, which is
Yeah.
a scripture. What?
No, I was gonna say because you brought up the confirmation thing. I don't know if you were gonna say it, but that's another thing that we don't do. Also, we don't let everybody know about our misses. When we had faith, or we wrote something down, or we quote unquote spoke something into existence, we never share people the misses.
Yeah.
We only share the successes. The girl you hollered at that you thought was gone because you manifested hollering at that girl, you just knew she was gonna give you the number, and she was like, "Nah, I'm cool." We don't talk about the losses. We don't talk about the wins, and that goes to that confirmation bias.
Yeah. Which
You
that
know,
can lead.
women talk about manifestation too, and they don't talk about the guy who they thought they were gonna give the number, who hang out with him one night and was over. You really believe that was your guy. Let's keep it real. So that goes to the confirmation bias as well.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So we will. And I also wanted the dangers, just to add on to it, just to add this my 2 cents. The dangers, it can definitely be harmful to somebody as far as the way they process their thoughts. That's not a good thing. It can lead towards gaslighting, because if they say certain things and it's not the outcomes they want to happen is not happening, that tend to weigh a person's mind down. So we got to be careful with
Yeah,
that.
that's
Yeah.
true.
Yeah, so they start. It's called victim blame. They start blaming themselves because the stuff they wanted to manifest that didn't happen. So they because
They think
there's
something's
laws.
wrong with them.
Yeah, it's possible. Yeah, so definitely. All right. So the next question, like I said, I'm gonna get D Jones in here. Um, is manifestation? Oh, we already said that. True or false? Is it? Is there biblical support? So does the Bible support this? And I think
I'll
I'll
start
say,
out.
I
I'll
want you
oh,
to
start
go
out.
ahead, go ahead.
elaborate more on that.
Go ahead.
Go ahead, go
Go
ahead,
ahead.
go
Yeah.
ahead, go ahead.
All right. You want to go, Coach?
I'm
Who's
going to
talking?
support that. I'm sorry. I'm going to state that it supports that there's power behind what we say and what we think, but not that it's a law. And I think, I think it was Derek or somebody said earlier, that's where the issue is when you say it's a law. There's power behind it. It does have a outcome. It does have a because there's a scripture that says, "My word shall not return to me void." Joshua 1:8. You know, so that means that it must do something in the atmosphere, but you won't always see specifically what is to be done in that time frame that you expect it to. So when you say a law is where it gets a little iffy.
Yeah. All right, Derek, you want to speak to that?
Yeah, I would probably take it a little further with the power of the tongue. That the whole idea of the power. Some people, when they hear the power of the tongue, and you have people that are saying, "Yeah, this is true," because look at this and look at that. Here's the reality: my tongue is not. I can't move that car with my tongue. I can't do this with my tongue, but I can say some hurtful stuff to you that can make you feel a certain way if you're not strong enough, mature enough, or whatever. That could possibly be bad. But I could also say some good things to you that, if you're mature enough or whatever, could accept those things as accolades and feel good about yourself, and it may help you do things better. But as far as power, I'm gonna get this. That is where I'm like, yeah, I don't believe in all that. So, and also when it comes to the power with his word won't turn back to him void. That you 100% right. But we talk, that's God. That's not us.
Mm.
He's the sovereign one that has that power. His word won't come back void. Ours come back void all the time.
Mhm. All right, good stuff. Good stuff. I want to read some comments. Help the bear say you wasn't you wasn't with me shooting in the gym. I also said I thought I liked you, huh? LOL. Let Vulcan cook. All right, the people spoke. Vulcan, what's up? Anything you want to add to before we go to DJ? Matter of fact, DJ Jones, I wanted you to chime in on it because you actually said the power of the tongue. So you want to add on to it?
Yeah, I would say too. I want to, again, I'm all about iron sharpening iron. So I want to thank Derek for giving his wonderful point about, the analogy he gave about the car. Like I can't speak it and make the car move. Just from like how I was taught in church and bringing it like there's different kinds of power. Like God has like that supernatural power that none of us humans possess. You know what I'm saying? And so like when I speak up, when I say like there's power in the tongue and the mind, like I'm not saying like I'm an X-Men Avengers, like I'm a say move car and it's gonna move and get out the way. I'm more so saying that like words, specifically words can be poisonous or nurturing. Now you can speak, positive things in life over someone, and you can also speak bad. You know what I'm saying? I heard a pastor say this one time. He said a lot of women, like I said earlier, a lot of women are laying with a man right now and complaining about him every single day and saying he's not a good man. But actually, that is a good man and the man for them, but they'll never know until they are willing to stop speaking negatively about him. You
Yeah.
know what I'm saying? So, like, that's more so what I'm saying when I say the power of the tongue. Like, just words we say can be detrimental. And I think, especially as a man, like I know a lot of men, we're black and white. We're not nearly as complex as women. So one time a man could hear something negative about himself and that could damage him for the rest of his life potentially because he doesn't have the mindset to recover from that. He can just live off of those words that were spoken to him and that be just how he carries himself from the rest of his days. So that's what I was more so saying. But I definitely appreciate I'm gonna use that analogy you gave, Derek, because that was good. That was good.
I appreciate it. Hey, Enos, can I say one thing before you go forward? And
Sure.
this will kind of hit the point of what I mean with the power, because I agree with what you just said, E. Jones. But you didn't think that, but the average person thinks that. I'll give you an
Right.
example. My mom has cancer right now, and I've had two friends already. Ooh, ooh, ooh! Don't say it. Don't say it. Like, come on, like me saying my mom has cancer is adding cancer to her life. That's the buffoonery that I mean when I say there's no power in that. There's
Right.
no power in speaking a truth.
Mm-hmm.
But as far as me, like you said, saying something ugly, it can affect you. Saying something nice can affect you. Praying over somebody can affect them. I get all of that.
Yeah,
But a lot of people that don't.
sorry, go ahead, Coach.
I was gonna say I kind of disagree with that to a degree, and I'm gonna tell you why. Um, you can actually pull this up. Has anybody heard about a Dr. Emoto's experiment?
Oh yeah, I have the
Yeah,
book.
right. So all he did was speak to the water, and it changed the water. So there is power in just saying something, and
Whoa,
it
but
does
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
change some things, but it takes time and consistency and faith to back it up to see the fruition of it. So you literally can, and there are studies of individuals who have healed themselves from speaking positive words over time. There's many studies on that. So there is power in that as well. One young lady that I like to study, I say young, but she's actually older than me, is a young woman by the name of Marissa Peer. And I would strongly suggest anybody look into her and her teachings and what she's into. And she breaks that down very eloquently. Her as well as Dr. Joe Dispenza as well.
Hold on. May
Um,
I interject, Coach?
go
Man.
ahead, go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
So, how you say his name again? Doctor who?
Joe Dispenza, and he does.
No,
He's a
first
doctor and
one.
he
The
does
first
studies
one.
on this. The first one, Marissa Peer, Peer.
That was the second one.
You're talking about the water.
Oh, Dr.
Water. That's what.
Emoto.
Okay,
Emoto.
yeah.
He-
Emoto. Okay, yeah. I did some studies on the only. I guess the main pushback I would do with that study is that particular experience didn't go through a peer review.
I'm sorry, didn't
So
what?
it didn't go. They didn't go through the peer review process. He was the only one that actually did that study, and then the science journal that actually published that story wasn't considered real scientists, really. If I could say it the way, so it's not respect that art when the article was published in that magazine. Somebody just came in. It wasn't. Um, it wasn't respected in its discipline. So peer review, in science you have to test it. You have to do this experiment over and over to see if there's some validity in it, and they didn't pass those tests. So
you're saying it didn't happen, or what are you saying?
no, he said it happened, but when other scientists tried to do the same experiment, they didn't get the same result.
Let me say it this way. The Bible says by 2 or 3 let every word be established. It's the same kind of principle. Like I'm not saying it's true or not true. I'm just saying that I don't know if we should use it for teaching. And I think Derek and I've been I know we've been exposed to that study since probably 2006, 7 or something like that.
Yeah, 2000 for me.
Yeah.
That's just one study. There are others. I'm just using that one as an example.
For sure,
but
for sure. Yeah.
there are other studies of things that have been done.
Yeah. I'm just saying. I think that's what Enos's point was. Just that with the peer review is just
Right.
people coming and saying I did the same thing and it worked out the same way for me as well.
And
I
sometimes
did want to. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I think
go ahead.
that example though proves my point versus disagrees with it. That power, if we're going to call it that, I know we have. I mean, we're made up of 70% water, and so the mere fact that you can speak negative and it can affect somebody in a way that's negative, that we can call that power. But I think when you're talking to somebody that's not as well versed in certain things, they may not be thinking that. They're thinking, "Ooh, don't say cancer. Ooh, don't do this because you have power in your mouth." And that's what I.
Before you go, Boca, just for the comments, Help the Bear said Kevin Gates charged a car battery. Yeah, legendary story, man. Shout out to Kevin Gates. All right, Boca, you was gonna say?
So part of my issue with the words having power thing, which we all agree, is we don't really go through great lengths after we've established that, because obviously the Bible teaches that, and even intuitive we all kind of know that. We don't go through the lengths of saying, okay, what is that actual power? What does the Bible say the power that actually has? Because there's a range, right? Any of us have seen Marvel comic books and DC comic books, or have an imagination. Words can have so much power, as D. Jones said, that that we can bring Mars closer to the Earth, right? That's hypothetically possible. Or words can just mean if I tell my wife, hey, look, you look nice in that dress, that made her feel good that day. So both of those are power in the words. Which one is the Bible actually saying? And I'm not saying the guys on the us on the panel here, but I think in a broader community, we don't really go through the work of figuring out what power are we referring to. So I want to say that one point. Number two about the words is a lot of times word have meaning based off of.
Well, he went out, but let me say what I wanted to answer the question that was I think he clicked leave by accident. I don't know, but I wanted to
before you
answer
start, D. Jones, before you start, let me go ahead and read one more comment. Oh, shout out to Rucker. Yeah, what up, man? LOL. That's another guest that be on the show. What's up, man? Come and join us, bro. All right, go ahead, D. Jones.
No, I wanted to you had asked. I want to say you asked a question earlier about manifestation, the word in particular, and I was while everybody was talking, giving their eloquent points, I was doing a little bit of research, and it kind of made me have a whole different mindset about that word in particular. It says right here, it says, in prayer, we are bringing our requests to God and trusting Him with the outcome that's spoken of in Ephesians, instead of relying on the universe or power within ourselves to make it happen. When we try to manifest a result, you are actually attempting to pull God out of the equation. So now my mindset is different. It's like, okay, well, I want to remove that word from my vocabulary in general. It's funny because my mom actually said something the other day. She said, son, not that you are a trend follower, but she said, be careful with trends and be careful with words that people keep on saying all the time, because sometimes the devil tries to put underlying messages and hidden agendas in these words that we keep on saying, and we're actually doing ourselves more detriment than benefit. And so now after reading that and seeing it for myself, I'm determined to remove that word out of my vocabulary in general, because I'm a praying man. I pray every single day, numerous times throughout the day. If I'm just a praying man and focus on praying and being a prayer warrior, I don't need to necessarily manifest anything.
Okay. More comments. Oh, I mean, we know. Usually when you're on the show, shout out to Jason. You at I bet you at that restaurant, your favorite restaurant. All right. Jason said, I'm here though. Yeah, appreciate the support. Derek, you want to speak to what D. Jones was talking about?
Oh no, you know what he just did though? he just proved why this dang podcast is so awesome, because you get on, you get to hear something a different way. He did what the Bereans did, went and looked it up and was like, oh, okay, I get it. I like that.
Yeah, that
Uh,
takes a state of humility though, and a lot of
Yeah,
people don't get to that state because of ego. So I
yeah,
want to say I commend you for that.
yeah, big time.
One thing that I want to point out though is that we really got to be real cautious before we state anything, myself included, is to get a clarification and an understanding for the definition of the word. Because when you say manifestation, to one person it means one thing, and to somebody else it means something completely different. So what does that actually mean before you proceed?
yeah, that's how we're able to communicate because usually we all have the same definition, so that's why we know what each other are speaking on. All right, we'll go to the science. You got anything you want to add to this, Vulcan?
Yes. So yeah, one thing I want to say, I was sorry, my iPad died, so I'm on one of my phones. But yeah, one thing I want to mention is just how words, we ascribe meaning to words. What I mean by that is, I remember I was sitting with somebody one time, and I said, "I'm old," and they go, "Don't say that. It's gonna make you old." And I was like, and so the issue wasn't just whether or not it's true that me saying I'm old makes me old, but what if I look at getting older as a good thing?
Hmm.
So that's something that people don't take into consideration. Sometimes even something as cancerous as cancer can be a blessing. People have had their lives saved because they had cancer. They got a certain thing removed out of their body that would have killed them had they left it in their body. You know, there's medical miracles that happen like that, where one disease saves you from another disease. You see what I'm saying? And
And I
so,
think that I'm sorry, my
no,
bad.
no,
Go ahead.
go ahead, D. Jones, go ahead.
I was gonna say I think that's what makes it so beautiful about what Derek said a minute ago. After I spoke last, like one thing I've always been firm believing in is that with age should come wisdom. I think we got programmed to saying it as with age comes wisdom, but we all know that the older you get, not everybody wisens up. And
Yeah.
so, you know what I'm saying? I think that, with age should come wisdom. And so that's the thing. Like, the older you get, the more wise you should become. Past experiences should be experiences that you can use as teaching methods and mechanisms to help other people and so forth. And so, I do totally agree. Like, that knowing the definition or your definition of what a word means before saying it is important. Knowing that, like I have an aunt. You brought up cancer. I have an aunt. God rest her soul. My mother found out she had breast cancer back to back times, and she went through all chemo and everything, and she's healed now. But in that same time period, she got breast cancer, and they made all of her siblings and my grandmother and my sister and all of them go get checked because of that. And my aunt found out she had it. Sean's mom, James. She found
Oh,
out she had it. She found out she had it, and her mindset was, "Well, God's gonna heal me." She took the holistic route, and 2 years and 7 months later, she passed. And because what I'm saying, she had this mindset of like, "I'm just gonna be healed," and she refused to go to the doctor because she was scared. You know what I'm saying? But like in my mind, I was just like what you just said, like God gave us doctors and medicine for a reason. Like that
yeah,
wisdom should have kicked in and made her go get the help, and she might be still sitting here with us today. You know what I'm saying? So like, I definitely understand what you were saying on that for sure.
yeah.
Yeah, and
Facts.
that's my thing, with a lot of because this is traditionally we could say some of these teachings are more Eastern spiritual practice. You know, the things they teach, and when you when you accept some of these doctrine or practice some of these spiritual practice, you neglect how far the Western um, society how far they came with science. You know, studying medicine and able to cure certain diseases and prevent.
Making mistakes, people dying over or
Hmm.
deleting them, being deleted
Hmm.
because it didn't work, and then they having to perfect it through peer review and through all kind of different stuff.
Yes, and I was going to say even Nick Cannon, he actually said the same thing. I forgot what disease he has. I forgot what it is, but he said he tried to go the holistic route. And he said, I heard him in the interview. He actually regretted. He said he probably should have went ahead and went to the hospital, but we had such irrational skepticism. I mean, for but irrational skepticism, I guess, Western
Yeah.
medicine.
Well,
Maybe
yeah.
we got to do a
Let me
better
say
job.
this. Sorry,
Hmm.
man. Just say this. A lot of the holistic, the holistic approach is great, but it's more preventative. We
Mhm.
know we should be having a certain amount of iodine and vitamin B and all these different vitamins, and we eat junk food, and then we get diagnosed, and we go, I'm going holistic. If you would have gave your body a lot of the nutrients and minerals, sustenance you needed, you may have not have got that disease.
Mhm.
But once you have the disease, you may need to use the methods that we have available to us with modern medicine.
I disagree with that.
All
I
right.
said,
All right. We're
may.
gonna,
I
all
disagree
right.
with that.
All right. We're gonna get
Modern
to the next
modern
topic.
medicine modern
Oh,
medicine in the Western Hemisphere is not meant to heal. The whole system is designed to keep you sick so you can keep paying money to the system. It's
all right. Hold on.
designed that way. It's been that
All right.
way.
All right. Hold on. Let me read the comments. Help the bear said, Vulcan, aka Adrian Bronick, is cooking. Pass him
Oh,
the
wow.
ball. I'm I'm trying. I'm trying to help the bear. It says, help the bear said facts, D Jones. A lot of people will not admit that, my guy. Shout out to Derek. Okay, 94 kill rate. Most of them. Oh yeah, most of them die from cancer. Yeah, die from chemo. Yeah, yeah.
Hmm.
Unfortunately. All right, so let's get to the next question. All right, so next question. Oh yeah, I can't even see it. So we touched. We actually. I'm going ahead of myself, but so we touched on a little bit of this earlier. So the manifestation is. Oh yeah, is there a scientific support? Yeah, this is what coach was actually talking about. This. Do you want to elaborate more about the scientific support? I mean, how science support um, this law? Well,
Yeah,
we
it,
are.
it goes it goes it goes back to following a lot of the studies of the people I was talking about earlier. They do a lot of studies on that, and then write what their studies find. And it's very interesting to see what they come up with. And there's that many documentations, many books on what they've come up with. But again, you really have to define what you mean by manifestation, because that's really where it matters the most. Is what do you mean when you say that?
All right. So, hey, matter of fact, somebody got background noise. I don't know who that is, but hello. Shout out to color. Hey, help the bear. Go ahead and put the stream, the link in the comments, so we can have other people that want to join. They can join. Volker, you want to speak to what Coach was just saying?
No, I really don't have anything to say in that regard. I would just say, well, I think it's more important to make a distinction here. And we covered this last time we talked about law of attraction. We didn't get into the specific 7 laws that compose the law of attraction as a whole, but we talked about the composition fallacy, and then I think it was the division fallacy, which is to say that what's true of a part isn't always true of the whole, and what's true of the whole isn't always true of a part of that whole. So to say that a part of an elephant could be light, that doesn't mean the elephant itself is light. Or the ocean has fish, but if I grab a cup of water, a cup, and then put it in the ocean and grab some water out of it, doesn't mean that that cup with the water in it has fish. So what's true of the part is always true of the whole. What's true of the whole is always true of the part. In the same way, the power of manifestation, scientific support, there is scientific support to prove certain aspects of the power of manifestation. We do know writing things down and telling yourself mantras and focusing on things and working towards goals, that does yield results. Nobody would deny that, whether you believe in the law of manifestation or not. But when it comes to it being a law, or that you doing this, your thoughts are making some type of energy come out and to craft the universe. If you're more on the secular side or spiritism side of law of attraction, if you're more on the theological Christian side of it, you believe that these laws bind God and cause God to act in certain ways. That's the part that I would have to object to. So there's scientific proof that proves little pieces of the law of attraction we'd all obviously agree with. That's common sense. There's more grandiose claims that it makes about how our thoughts craft the universe that we can't. That's unscientific, and a lot of it is very sacrilegious.
All right, that's good. That's good. Let's hold on for a minute. Let's get into some definitions. All right. All right. So, fallacy of composition, interfering with something is true from. I mean, actually, you explained it pretty well, Vulcan. Just want to put this up here for the audience so they can read along. If interfering that something is true of the whole from the fact that it is true for some of the part of the whole, it's the opposite of fallacy of composition. I mean, fallacy of division. You actually mentioned that earlier too. So logical form. They got some examples up here. So A is part of B. A has the property of X, therefore B has the property of X. And then they have example one. Each brick in that building weighs less than 1 pound, therefore the building weighs less than 1 pound. Y'all following?
Yep,
Yes,
got it.
sir. Following.
All right. All right. Anybody else want to add to this so we can go ahead and move on to the second law? Scientific support. D. Jones, Derek.
Nope.
Nah, I just want to, like I said, it now that I had that late breaking news of, you know what I'm saying, epitome earlier, or, you know what I'm saying, just like aha moments, like now it's like every time I see the word manifestation, I'm like, dang, like, am I tripping? Like, have I been, you know what I'm saying, programming my mind to feel something or believe something when, you know, really I'm a praying man. Like, you know what I'm saying? Have I been removing God out of it by just saying I'm gonna manifest this as opposed to just praying about it and just letting God have his will? So
Well,
um
let me ask the panel this. Then why do you think a lot of Christians incorporate this type of belief in their
Well,
in their
isn't that leading into the next question, or
oh yeah, there we go. Vulcan's
somebody
back.
playing Tekken or something.
You ain't lying.
hey, I'll do some damage in Tekken, y'all. Don't get it twisted.
Hey,
All right.
law gets busy. Law gets busy.
All right, second law, the law of magnetism. The law of attraction is always in action. So you are a
Oh,
real
so there,
magnet.
so we're not doing. There was no biblical one.
We just did the biblical. We did the biblical before the science.
Oh, I must have went out for that one. Okay.
Did he? I thought.
Yeah, I think
Okay.
that's when he
Say what,
dipped on.
Derek? Oh, you
I said
did.
I think that's when he dipped on us.
Yeah, yeah.
Hey, well, you go ahead, Ad, before we move on. Go ahead.
Well, because I mean, I guess because I interrupted your question, 'cause I thought that was the next one. So I
Mhm.
mean, guess what? You want to finish asking your question or what?
No, you go ahead and add on since you dipped out. We can go ahead and finish.
Yeah, yeah. So as far as the biblical part of it, and you know, somebody might have already said it because I didn't get a chance to hear it, but there's numerous texts that talk that deal with the manifestation part of it from a Christian standpoint. One of them being the book of James, where it says, "Do not be like the arrogant businessman who says, 'Tomorrow I will go do this or I will go do this.' Stay if the Lord wills." Part of the problem with the manifestation doctrine is that there's no if the Lord wills in it because it's a law. You don't need the Lord's will if it's a law.
Yep.
When I drop my my chapstick right here and it falls to the floor, I don't have to say if the Lord wills because that's the law of physics. That's something that God's already put in the universe. So I don't have to say if the Lord will because He's already willed it from creation. And so that's part of the issue with that. Another one says that you know man plans something, but God orders his steps. So man can make plans, man can do the things he does, but God's gonna order his steps. Another one says that God, the king's heart is in the hands of God, and He moves it as the river, or something like that. All these texts are saying that God can take you different directions. He can give you desires, take desires from you. You know, you can do all kind of different stuff that affects what you manifest, affects what you're focusing on, affects what you're thinking about. So all that shows that we can have a direction we want to go, but if we think that we're sovereign over our direction, I mean, if I focus on if I do this, I'm going to get this result. Then what you're doing is that you're saying that you're more powerful than God.
Mhm.
So that was one point I was going to make about the biblical aspect of it.
I guess I'll go ahead and ask the question for the panel. So, why do Christians gravitate more into, you know, this practice or spirituality? I guess you could say, well, New Age spirituality,
I
and not just read a Bible.
I can give you two reasons.
All right.
The first reason is people don't open their Bibles. The second reason is we have so many pastors in this Western world that live a lifestyle that the average person dreams of, and they start preaching their rhetoric on what you can manifest and what you can speak into existence and what you can do. And all of those that don't do what D. Jones just did and go research it for themselves, it's a pragmatic process to where they just take that information and go, see, the pastor did it, so that's what I'm going to do. So girl, don't be saying this, don't be saying that, because we going to that. I think that's where that whole process started, especially in Black America.
Yeah, I get what you're saying, but I actually see pastors actually teach this this form of belief too inside
Yeah,
the church too.
that's what I'm saying.
Okay, sorry.
Yeah, I'm saying that the pastors are like, they're teaching it.
Okay,
They're
I didn't hear that
teaching it.
part. Okay,
Yeah,
okay.
they're teaching it by their lifestyle. And it's so funny because it's like, hey, give me 40,000 people giving X amount of dollars a month, and I'll manifest in my life some of the financial things I want too. So it's like, it's ridiculous.
So
I need
let me get
a dollar from everybody today and tomorrow.
let me get let me get Culture here. Then we get D.
Oh, man.
Jones. So why is it that professing Christians? What's your thoughts on that? That they say they're Christians, but they tend to
Yeah,
gravitate to that
I
stuff.
think he just stated it as that. As also people want to feel like they have some of the power. They don't want to leave it all in God's hands because that takes faith, and faith is hard. Faith ain't easy. You want to feel like you be able to put some of the power in your hands so you can make it happen. When you can only do so much, you can do your part, but God has to do His part as well.
Mhm. Yeah, that's what I said. That's another era of what they call the simplifying, oversimplifying the complexities. Like we was talking about people that have medical issues, cancers. That's oversimplifying. And when you say, "Oh, I'm just going to pray about this," that's just too simple. You got to really do some approach it scientifically, whatever results you're trying to get, especially with your health. D. Jones, you want to go? I'm
Yeah, I'll
sorry.
say this, man. I think when it comes to like this in church, I think a lot of people, for one, they read the book. I call the Bible like a blueprint, like the guide. A lot of people read the book, but they don't apply it to their life. They have no faith in what they're reading, so it just becomes words on a paper. You know what I'm saying, or in a book. They're not applying what they're reading. And I think a lot of times also people, at least in like black culture, for sure, a lot of us we were forced to go to church. Your mama and your grandma said, "You going to church on Sunday? Get your behind up. I'm leaving home by 10:30. Don't make me late." And so you went to church by force. And a lot of times people go to church by force, and when they get older, they have kind of like forgotten or didn't necessarily have because when you're a kid, your mind is a certain way. The human brain is not fully developed until you're 25 years old. And so now when you're grown, 3 times 7 and some, as my grandma would say, sometimes you have to go back. Like I'm doing that currently. I've been doing that for the past month or so, rereading the Bible, doing a daily devotional to take me through the whole Bible to make sure I understand with my grown mind what I'm trying to apply to my life. And so I think a lot of times people are not doing that for themselves, but they're instead just watching a person or a figure of a man or a woman in a pulpit speak on these things. And sometimes because that same man or woman in that pulpit didn't go back and do the same reading that I just spoke of, now we're persuading all these other people the wrong teachings and the wrong things. And so now we're just repeating that same generational curse or same bad habit all the way through people to come.
Yeah, and just to add on to that, although you was a kid, it's unfortunately, with Black society, we're not the best at understanding doctrine and theology. So sometimes that can
I disagree. It's not that we don't understand it.
well, I say
It's
it,
that
not the best, but go ahead.
no, we are the best. We're
Okay.
just also the most lazy to go back and research what we've been told. Because the ones that know the truth. But the problem is there's a system in place that we can't be taught the truth because there's consequences. And those that have been taught what they have been taught don't go research what they've been taught. So it becomes a downright spiral of generation to generation being taught misinformation. But we do have the capacity to learn the truth.
Derek, you want to speak to that before I go to vocal?
I mean, I agree with you. I mean, I agree with the fact that we're lazy. but that laziness carries over into the thought process. And so it is we don't, when you look at somebody, especially I'm looking at some of the black churches that I know of, and nobody opens their Bible, but if you say something with some smooth and clever words, they will gravitate to that like a son of a gun, and then try to use those words in their life, and
Emotion.
that's where their power is, and then nothing ever happens.
Once you move them emotionally.
Yeah.
That's real.
Mhm. All right. Volker, you want to speak to that?
Yeah, I want to make 3 quick points about this. So y'all brought up really good points, and it really helped my mind to make certain connections. So I'm not going to do it in order. So the lazy part that Coach brought up was a really good point. And it's a compounded issue because not only culturally can we be lazy when it comes to education and learning. We're not lazy when it comes to sports. We're not lazy in everything, but we are lazy when it comes to intellectual pursuit culturally. And we tend to oppress those in our community who are not lazy intellectually. We tend to make fun of them.
We
And
call
so,
them conspiracy theorists.
yeah, for sure. I'll give
Because
a
I'm
quick
one of them.
story. yeah. I'll give a quick story. I was watching this little clip online of this guy talking about how ignorant Atlanta is, right? And Atlanta's like the black Mecca. And he was saying that when he was in school, some kid went to school in a coat the day it was raining. And they were like, and he was wearing a coat. And they were like, "How do you know to wear a coat? How'd you know to wear a coat?" And he was like, I saw the news. It said it was rain. They clowned him for watching the news. You know what I'm saying? The funny thing, the guy who was telling the story was saying, I clowned him too. That's how ignorant we were. So there is this anti education, anti-intellectualism in our community. It's not everybody, but it is significant enough to where we all have to deal with it at times. And so I want to say that part. But I said it's compounded because in the Bible, Paul says the Cretans are lazy, gluttonous people. Therefore, rebuke them sharply to make them sound, in the faith. So what we tend to do is not only are we a little bit lazy culturally, but what happens is we want to. Oh, I'm going to be soft on that person. I'm going to I don't want. I'm not going. I don't want them to feel judged. I'm going to massage them into truth. When Paul said they're lazy and gluttonous, rebuke them sharply. So we're wrong on 2 fronts. We're lazy, and then those of us who see the laziness and could maybe help somebody, we choose to kid glove them and massage them because we don't want to lose them, instead of doing what Paul told Timothy to do: rebuke them sharply. So they're lazy, gluttonous. So make them sound by being tough with them. A rebuking tongue will receive more honor than a flattering tongue. Open rebuke is better than hidden love. We don't want them to feel judged. Come as you are, feel comfortable, and there's no growth and comfortability. So you're gonna lose some, but the ones that stick, they're gonna be monsters in a good way. So that was one. Another one I want to say. Another reason people tend to gravitate towards these particular philosophies is because we have itching ears. We like the idea that we can have power, as Coach brought up. We like the idea that we can be like God. Going back to Genesis now, right? God can create, I can create. But then we look in the Bible, you don't see any of the apostles teach instead of these teachings. Paul never told us to manifest. Paul prayed for a thorn to be removed from his side. And God said, my grace is sufficient for you. So we see in these different texts right here, even Paul couldn't manifest certain things. And this was a guy who people was getting healed by a shadow at times. So we just see these different cases where we see where people find teachers that suit their own desires. Obviously, if you tell me that I have the power to do this or power to do that, I'm going to want to do it. So that's the third one. The last one I was going to say was we don't want to be like Bereans. Bereans, the Bible calls them the most noblest of the Jews because when Paul was preaching, they were searching the text to see if what he was saying was true.
I think you may have misspoke. You said we don't want to be like the Bereans. We do want to be like them.
Well, I was saying culturally, we don't want to be like them.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Thanks, Derek. So sorry. Just make sure it's clear. Culturally, we don't want to be like that, but we should want to be like them because they were the most noblest because they were searching to see if what was being said was true.
we look at that as hating at times. You look at too deep. It's not that serious. You're looking too deep into that.
Mm.
But Corinthians 5 says
If I had
a
a
little.
nickel for every time I heard that,
Yeah, exactly. But the Corinthians 5 says a little leaven leavens the whole lump.
Mhm.
It only takes a little. So that's my 12 cents.
Yeah, that's
I was
what, and that's why I
gonna
said.
say, my bad. Go ahead. I was
Yeah,
gonna say too, when you were speaking, Vulcan, like you were saying, like, you know, some people they feel like they want to be like God. I was gonna chime in and say, well, listen, I don't want that power. That's too much pressure. That's too much. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think that, you know, it's bringing it way to a more surface level. But like, I think people gotta also know like what's their calling is, or what's, you know what I'm saying, what's applicable to you. Like, I know I wouldn't be able to do what, you know what I'm saying, Jesus did when he walked this earth. Like, I'm not strong. That's why I wasn't chosen to do it. You know what I'm saying? And somebody put in the comment right now that said, no one man should have all that power. Kanye. Right, exactly. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, not everybody is equipped to have, you know, certain things and certain, you know, like responsibilities. And I think that's also important to point out as well.
yeah, for sure. And that's why I was just saying, Coach and Derek, I said in our society we don't encourage that as much. You know, this is why we did the show. This is some of our motivations to, you know, provide a lane for those who desire intellectual growth. In other words, desire or have a respect for. Oh, well, short, we can just call them lifelong learners. Here's a chart I'm going to go over. Some of the traits of a lifelong learner, also intellectual grower. Practice active listening. Reflect on your learning. Stay curious. Think about that. Network. Set learning goals. Just thinking about that. In our society, how many people we come across in our community that actually set learning goals? You know, when we get older, we tend to get more stagnant in our beliefs and how we think, and don't even, don't make the attempts to grow. So what's the other one? Take online classes for workshops and become an avid reader. So that's just some of the traits I was touching on when I meant that as a community we struggle with um, wanting to have that desire to grow. And Vulcan made some good points in there. Made some good points on that with Bible references. All right, so we can go ahead and move to the next question. This one I want to ask the panel is about the second law. Because remember we're doing 7 laws, so this is the second law. It's called. Let me know if that's showing up on your screen. All right, where that's. Oh, all right, here we go. All right, so the law of magnetism. The law of attraction is always the action. So you are real. You are a real magnet has attracted everything in your life and will continue to attract everything you think about. The energy that you put in will come out to you. It's to you. Open the screen up. All right. I said the energy that you put in, the energy that you put out will come back to you if it's on the same frequency level. Okay. The law of magnetism, what we attract with who we are. Let's go around. I'm gonna start with D Jones, Coach. If y'all agree to say true or false, and then we come back for whys. The same process. D Jones.
Yeah. So I struggle with this one. I've always struggled with this one. We attract who we are. I just had this conversation earlier with my best friend. I was telling him like, like I was saying how when I was younger, like I pictured myself with this certain type of woman. And now that I'm older, I sometimes have this conversation with myself, not crazy, but just with myself of like, one of my favorite songs is by Jamie Foxx and Drake, Fall for Your Type. Like, was I just falling for a type that I was used to and comfortable with? And so, like, now I want something different, or is that really what I like? And so I don't necessarily, because what I like is not necessarily what I am, but it's what
All right.
I like. You know what I'm saying?
Hold on.
What
You
I'm
hold on.
used.
Remember we were just doing true or false, and
My bad. I'm
then
sorry. My fault. My
yeah.
fault.
That's
My
good.
bad. My bad.
So true or false? Make sure I'm
I'm gonna
clear.
say false.
All right, false. Shout out to he actually commented. Shout out to Help the Bear. He said chick magnet. That's probably what But you was alluding to D Jones, chick magnet. All right, so let me get Coach up in here. True or false? The law
I'm
of
gonna say false.
magnetism,
I'm gonna
we
say
attract.
false.
Okay, false. So we got Derek,
False.
false. Vulcan,
I'm gonna have to go false again.
no, we going
I
false.
hate doing this, but yeah.
And like I said, make sure everybody keep their answers concise, and we can move the conversation around. So let's get back to D Jones and then Coach after him.
Yeah, that was it. I mean, my bad. My fault for getting out of line. You know what I'm saying, but that was it. Go ahead, coach.
All right, Coach. Oh, you muted.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm gonna go second.
You're gonna go
I'm gonna
where?
let somebody else go. I'm gonna go second.
Oh, we technically second. All right, go ahead, Derek.
What? I'm sorry. Ask your question again.
Explain why it was false to you as far as
Oh,
we are
well,
what
it's
we
false.
attract.
I'll give you a very quick one. Now, as I gotta give a disclaimer on this, so people that are watching don't have me pegged or something. Um, I'm a decent dude when it comes to relationships. I treat women well. I I always say I'm the one you want to introduce to your mom. So here's the problem with this magnetism thing. Why aren't I a magnet to the women that should appreciate a good dude? So that's so because if the law of magnetism was real, yeah, I'd be with exactly who I want to be with, right now. But yeah, so that's why I say it's false. It just does not work like that.
All right, Coach. You muted.
Yeah, man. I'm gonna go ahead and say that I agree with everything he just said, and I believe that you can attract what you are, but you're also gonna attract what you're not. The question that I have to ask is, do you have the discernment to be able to tell who was more like you, more like-minded like you? And that I think that's what matters most is having the discernment, because you're gonna attract all kinds of people in this world.
Mm. Can you explain how you can have that discernment?
Yeah, having discernment comes from building up your spirit, man. Speed is feeding this. It's feeding this the spirit more than you're feeding the flesh. And that comes in time and consistency.
All right. Before I get to Vulcan, I'm gonna read these comments. Coach is coaching. Shout out to Coach. Elder Bear also said, "Oh, let that dog out the cage, Derek." He said, "That's what." Guess that's what the woman want. I guess you would know, huh, Help the Bear? You would know, huh? No, I'm joking. I'm joking. Joking. Hey, again, Help the Bear. Go ahead and put the link, the streamline yard link in there for other guests or visitors they want to join the show. Vulcan, what you got for us?
So on this point, and I want everybody to keep in mind, part of what my role is to do is not just to say what's right or what's wrong and all that kind of stuff, because I could be wrong about what I'm saying. I try my best to provide justification and a linear way of thinking, so you can follow the breadcrumbs from the answer back to the question again. Just like you do multiplication, you do division to check it. You do math, you do addition, you do subtraction to check it, right? In the same way, I want to do the same thing. So this is partly just opening up your mind. So when somebody says you attract what you are, it sounds good, right? It sounds intuitively makes sense. And there's some truth to that. But the reality is this: think about the sentence itself. You attract what you are. You are a lot of things. Just a name 5 things. You're black if you're black. You're white if you're white. You're 6'2". You're vegan. You're lactose intolerant. You're patient. You're impatient. You deal with road rage. We are a conglomerate of a million things that comprise what makes you you. That being the case, which one is attracting what? We
Mm,
tend to focus on the qualities that we prefer to focus on. So I've been working on, being ambitious and getting entrepreneurship. And especially if I'm a woman, I want, women tend to be more hypergamous. They want a man to match them or be greater than them, right? So I'm working on myself so I can attract a man who's making that money too. But as she's doing that, and hypothetically, I'm not saying it's the case for all women, but if she becomes more masculine in that situation, If she becomes more masculine, does she get a very masculine man to match that? No, masculine men don't tend to like masculine women. So we see here, you can't just pick the parts of you that you prefer. You got to, all of you, which one are you going to magnet? And that just shows, this is what this is called in philosophy or logic, is called reductio ad absurdum. When you reduce a philosophy to its absurdity, to show that if you follow this to its logical end, it makes no sense.
Reminded me of Sheldon on Big Bang Theory.
Bang Theory. Hold on, so yeah, I just wanted. That's the unfortunate thing when you get indoctrinated by this philosophy. Like I said earlier, man, that's unfortunate when it's start blaming the victim, and that could, like I said, that can do a lot of damage to somebody that's not critically sound and assessing or analyzing some of these practices or these spiritual practices. So just be mindful of that. Let me get back to the. Oh, matter of fact, let me read the definition because no, I read that later. Let me get to these comments. Let the dog out. Help the Bear said, if that magnet is real, for single mothers with deadbeat dads must be a faulty magnet. All right, my money magnet has been on the frizz lately. Yeah, mine too, bro. All right. I don't know what happened with Vulcan. Let's next. Help the Bear.
You switching back to
Them
that
boys
iPad?
cutting up, man. Them boys cutting up.
Mhm. All right, so that's the question. So, as far as you attracting what you are, is there any biblical references y'all can use, or y'all think that the Bible actually support you attract what you are?
Nah.
Let's start with D Jones.
I wouldn't say this. I mean, I'll say this. I don't necessarily know, but I will say that there's a very famous thing that people say all the time in the religious world that you reap what you sow. And so, um, oh my bad, are we just answering yes or no?
No, you go ahead and explain. Just
Right.
explain how, if it
Yeah,
is, if you agree.
there's a very famous thing people say you reap what you sow. So if you are like sowing bad, you know what I'm saying, dropping bad seeds into the ground, like you might harvest bad on the other end, you know what I'm saying, with the person that you're particularly with, you know what I'm saying, or whatever. So I do kind of feel like maybe that would be the closest thing that I can think of that would be biblical in it with that.
All right, you wanna touch on that, Vulcan? As far as any
I don't think he heard you.
is it still on? Well, I go with Derek. Let's go with Derek.
I mean, I do know a little bit about that reaping and sowing, and that's not the context that they're speaking of. And the reason I say that is you can look at the atheist who from a worldly view has a loving wife, great kids, great profession, live in a big house. On the outside looking in, you think everything in their world is great, and it might be, but there is no biblical thing to this magnetism. Because if that was the case, then all of the disciples could have just attracted all that believed every single place. They wouldn't have to talk to anybody that's an unbeliever. So when you start putting God's laws in there, it starts messing up, or not messing up, but it starts jacking up all our little thoughts on what we try to create. So yeah, I don't think there's biblical support for that.
Coach.
Nah, I ain't got nothing to add, man. I think that the scripture that he gave would be the closest one, but I understand. Nah, I got nothing to add, bro.
All right, Vulcan. Vulcan. My mic on.
Earth to Vulcan.
Is the screen oh no, the
Oh,
screen.
it's moving real slow. Yeah, it's probably not.
Okay.
So the thing
Yeah,
about
it's
it, is there
going.
biblical support
Is
for
that
the
me or
law
is
of
he
mag?
That's him. That's
oh,
him.
magnetism.
Hey, tell him in the chat so he knows.
Yeah.
Can you hear me? Can y'all hear me?
Yeah, it's going in and out.
Can y'all hear me?
Yeah, but it's
Yeah.
going out, Vulcan.
I'm going to take them out. All right. So
Can y'all hear me?
everybody,
Can y'all hear me? Can y'all hear me?
yeah, stopping. All right. So I think we touched. I guess we can just come back to that when he comes back. But you
Boca
basically
must be an Android user. But go ahead.
can say he's an yeah. Scientists. I guess we all can agree is there some
Not too much, man. Not too much on Android. Not too much.
scientific.
That's hilarious.
That's some comments. Shout out to John Atlanta said, "Let's go." What's up, John? What up with you? All right, so yeah, we can go ahead and go. Like I said, it's 12 of these laws. Well, we're just going to try to get through seven. We might not be able to get through all of them today. So I'm going to go to the third one, the law of unwavering desire. The law describes that all the intentions that you have are free of doubts, whether good or bad intentions. Your intentions must be stable and certain in order for them to manifest. If you want to manifest positive things into your life, focus on achieving your goals and thinking about them and yourself. All right, man.
Woo.
All right, so let's start with Coach. Agree or disagree? True or false?
Disagree.
Disagree. Okay, Derek.
Disagree.
All right, D Jones.
Yeah, definitely disagree.
All right, let me read the comments after Bear said Vulcan hit that light speed. He'll be back. All right, all right, Coach. Explain why you disagree.
I mean, that whole premise of just focus on yourself is like, whew, that says a lot right there. But there's a lot to be said about. I mean, there is some truth to where you do have a stronger um, chance in being able to accomplish whatever it is that you want when you're focusing on it. That's true. But I definitely wouldn't call that a law. And I definitely wouldn't say to focus on yourself, because there's no success that you can have in any area of this life that you do by yourself.
Yeah.
Any success that you have that's worth talking about is done with the help, the use, the activity of other individuals. You can't do things by yourself. So that in itself is going to make it a no for me.
Vulcan. No.
No,
What, Coach?
it's
Oh, Derek. Derek. Go ahead, Derek.
no, I agree 100% with what Coach just said. Um, I mean, your intention. I mean, think about the people that have bad intentions all the time, but that doesn't mean that all those things are going to come to pass, and that that it's just unwavering. That I want to hurt this person or I want to do this to this person. That doesn't mean that they have any power. That has any power to make it happen.
Mm,
So
okay.
I'm with Coach on that.
All right, man. My man D Jones, what you got?
Yeah, look, I'm really. I want to say I feel blessed to be a part of this, tonight and to speak with all of y'all. Just hearing the things y'all were saying made me look at things differently. My lady's always telling me like you gotta be mindful of the words you say. Sometimes I'll say something I'm thinking it's just word, you know what I'm saying, just a word, and like, but those one or two words or that phrase I might have used was very damaging to her, and like it makes me, I gotta sit down and be like, dang, I've been saying I said for, you know what I'm saying? I've been saying that since I was a kid. And now when I say I said to her, it makes her feel attacked. And so it makes me think. So now when I'm reading these things tonight and looking at the words like law and like manifestation, like once you start adding certain words to any type of statement or belief, now it kind of changes the whole thing. I definitely agree with the two gentlemen before me said, like, you can't do anything by yourself. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can't. And I think that, a lot of times even when you look at people like we know we're very familiar with, like Kobe Bryant and Michael Jordan, those two in particular, they were very prone on not wanting any friends in the league, not wanting to be in cahoots with anybody. They wanted to be one band, one sound, like, you know what I'm saying, before Nick Cannon. Like they wanted to just be them, and now they're, you know, put up here on this high regard as one of the greatest basketball players and greatest basketball talents we've ever seen. But then you think about the other thing, a lot of people don't necessarily have the best things to say about them as people because of how they carry themselves. So it's kind of like a, do I want to be this way? Is the success worth it if I can get here, but then not have anybody to share the blessings with, or having nobody who really wants to be around me on the other end? So just reading that whole statement, just the whole thing seems off to me.
Yeah.
Well, it's good that you joined us. I think, like you said, you had a aha moment. Can you, I guess, give some examples of how you used to, I guess, practice or, oh, uh, yeah, practice or some examples of why you might have believed in this philosophy?
Well, like, I mean, this is the seven laws of power, right? That we're talking about, right? I'm saying
Yeah,
if I'm
well,
correct.
yeah, all of them
Right. Yeah.
from
So like,
manifestation to yeah.
yeah, so like, you know what I'm saying? That's one of like the most popular books. People always have it on their like to read list, and people always say read it, read it, read it. And again, it kind of goes to what I was saying earlier, like these trends, like if you don't do your own research or your own understanding of anything, and you just go ahead and dive into it because somebody else said do it, then you can start programming your mind to believe all these things that you probably don't want to believe or don't want to necessarily practice, but because somebody else said do it, now we doing it. And so just doing my own research and hearing other perspectives around me, it allows me now. And I've already been on this path before. I met y'all tonight, but like just, you know, breaking down everything I put into, you know what I'm saying, my spirit in any way, shape, form, fashion is important because, you know, we only have one life to live. And I feel like we should, you know, try to be the best version of ourselves every single day. If we are putting in material or information within ourselves that's not beneficial in any way, shape, form, fashion, or even if you have to second guess it, you got to trust your gut. It's not just women who have intuition. You got to trust what you're feeling, and, you know what I'm saying, have enough care about yourself to research it.
All right, all right. Vulcan, I don't. We didn't get the chance to see if you agree or disagree. Go ahead and tell us if you agree or disagree, and then go ahead and explain why. And before you answer, I'm gonna read the comments for Help the Bear. Say, hold on now. Ain't say don't keep your pimp hand strong. D Jones joking. What is this? Help the Bear talking about? Somebody let me know what he's talking about. I'm lost. All right, so laws of attraction, not power. For sure, for sure.
He's speaking on when I said what I said earlier about my lady like changing the words and stuff. He's saying keep.
Oh, thank you, man. Thank you for keeping me up to speed, D Jones. All right, Vulcan.
You're a
I
mute,
told
brother.
you, help the bear guy get his comedy special, man. We're gonna help you with that, bro.
Sorry, yeah, I was sending somebody the link that wants to hop on, but yeah. So the law of unwavering desire, I have to disagree because again, their claims are so strong,
Hmm.
and again, we're getting like brief snapshots of the definition. But when you really dig into these definitions, again, all these beliefs believe that what's happening in our mind and in our, you know, our yeah, happening in our mind, it has creative power in the universe. And I mentioned this last time. It's just like if a Mormon knocks on your door. If a Mormon knocks on your door, they're not going to tell you that they believe that humans are spirit babies of Elohim. They're not going to tell you that Jesus and Satan are brothers. They're going to tell you that hey, we're coming on behalf of Jesus, believe the gospel, even though their gospel's a little bit different. And they're going to say, pray until you have a good feeling in your belly, and then you'll know that what I'm saying is true.
Why
So
though?
So they're not going to say some of
Why?
the more outlandish claims to you. They're going to say the things that are easy to digest. And the same thing goes with law of attraction. Even when we're reading these definitions, it's a very small, very juvenile definition of what the beliefs are. If you read the book, if you listen to Oprah, but going to the thing, I definitely disagree about this particular one. You can have a lot of doubt. You can not believe something at all that can still happen for you. A
Yep.
simple example is what me. I train people for a living on how to get things done, and I might tell somebody, "Hey, do this." That's not gonna work. But because I'm their boss, or I'm their boss, they may have to do it if I'm standing there, right? They do it, and they do it, and they go, "Oh, that worked." So
Mm.
they did it, and they had no belief in it at all. They thought I was silly, and it worked for them. And then I've had homeboys that could swear they could beat somebody up.
Man, that boy can't touch me. He can't whoop me. They get in that fight. They had maximum belief in themselves, and get straight worked out for 12 rounds.
Come on now. Come on. We all done work somebody out at some point. We all done let them know one time.
Yeah. So y'all go ahead. That's what I wanted to share.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's hilarious.
Yeah, we asked the same questions for each law. So if I think all of us disagree. So if it's have any biblical proof, so all of us will say false. Like, well, what about the
Before you
science?
move on, I just want to say Ronda Rousey.
Yeah.
Pride comes before the big old fall.
The scientific evidence to that.
I feel bad for her.
we don't think that Kobe and Shaq, they were going to beat Rasheed Wallace and Ben Wallace and them?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
So is it biblical support and scientific support? Would y'all say yay? Nay?
Nah, nay.
I
You see
definitely
why?
want scriptures to counter it, but anybody want to go first?
Yeah.
No, I'm good.
There said, Coach D. Jones.
No, I don't. I don't have any biblical support for that at all.
Yeah. So for me, when it comes to the unwavering desire, part of it is when you look at. I lost the verse I was gonna use. I remember now. So there was a man who was a man of authority, and he met Jesus, and he was asking for a servant to be healed, and Jesus was going to go to the servant, and he goes, I'm a man of authority, you're a man of authority. If you just say he's healed, he'll be healed. So somebody got healed, not even based off of their belief or lack of belief.
Somebody else's.
Yeah. And conversely, why I think this law is dangerous is because when you study these beliefs, they believe that if somebody believes you can't do something, their belief can overtake your belief or disbelief.
Yeah, you gotta elaborate more on that because you don't mind.
I thought you said cuz. I thought you were gonna say, well, I gotta elaborate on it. But yeah, so the reason why so what that means is in effect is that if I believe I can accomplish something, it don't matter what it is. Technically, it doesn't matter what it is. It could be I can tie my shoe, I'll let the climbing Mount Everest, or being able to dive all the way to the bottom of the Mariana Trench, from the most simplest to the most complex things that one might think they can actually do. If somebody doesn't think you can do it, if their mind has creative abilities in the universe, their negative view of what you're doing can keep you from actually accomplishing it, according to this unwavering desire thing.
Comments.
Really, kind of all of them. Sorry, go ahead.
I guess I'm sure Tyson opponents thought the same 30 seconds before the knockout. Yeah. Something about pain that brings you back to reality, man. Something about that pain. Vulcan pulling them thoughts out of the sky. Rewind that tape. All right. Probably referring when you look up in the air when you're thinking. That's probably what he's referring to. But yeah, so that's pretty good. Because I was trying to figure out reasons how I could, you want to think how they could prove, or what would be some of the arguments to prove it. There is scientific proof. Have you heard any of the arguments or statements that people that believe in this, they bring up biblical support or scientific support? Have you heard anything?
Oh, they'll start twisting stuff. Say to the mountain, move, and the mountain will move. I mean, they'll start using all kinds of stuff out of context to prove that stuff, and then it goes back to what we were talking about earlier. If you're not reading, and if you're not doing like the Bereans, you'll hear something that tickles your ear, and just start accepting it. And after 10 years of accepting it, can't nobody tell you different after that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So Next law is the law of the delicate balance. Everything in the universe works in a balance cycle, and the law of delicate balance says that we must balance ourselves by enjoying and appreciating what we have now and always. With the goals we want to achieve in the future, we can think about them and work towards them. But becoming desperate, anxious, or obsessed with it, you can think about the future, but also remember that you have now. Uh, read some of the Healthy Bear said the mountain will move if I have dynamite for sure, for sure. All right, so the law of delicate balance. Coach, man, agree or disagree? True, or false? True or false?
Disagree. True, false. I'm sorry.
Say again. False.
False.
All right, we got false. Derek.
I hate the word law and delicate, but I'm gonna lean more on the agree side.
Okay. Derek said agree. D Jones.
Yeah, this is the one I actually agree. I think I more so agree with this one as well.
Okay. All right. So we got two agrees. Two people agree. Coach says false. Vulcan.
See, this is one of those things that I mentioned before about the definitions we're using. No offense, the definitions are good. It is a good picture of what we're talking about, but it's leaving off a lot of the more esoteric aspects of this
Yeah,
particular law.
yeah,
And that's where the devil is in the details, if you will. Because when it says everything's in a balance, I mean, chemistry wise, a lot of that stuff's going to be true to some extent. There is a balance to things, counter forces, whatever, blah, blah, blah. But some I have to disagree because anybody who's reading this and wants to look more into it, and now I'm hoping they can focus more on the spiritual and or more exaggerated claims that you read about if you continue to listen to this type of teaching.
Hmm. Okay. All right. So we're gonna go back around. I think that was hello, come in. Just give me. All right. Let's just read this definition. The law of delicate balance is the concept that emphasizes the importance of maintaining balance in life to achieving long-term well-being. It suggests that life is similar to a symphony where each note must blend together seamlessly, and that the people who strive to find balance between the different aspects of their lives, such as work, family, health, and personal pursuits, the law of delicate balance encourages people to accept life natural fluctuations, fluctuations, and nurture the physical, emotional, mental, spiritual dimensions of equal devotions. I mean, it sounds similar to me. I guess it was a bit more in
I
detail.
like the way this one was written better though, for sure. I like this one, Yeah.
All
Yeah,
right.
this is still an AI overview. We're still looking at overviews. You know what I'm saying? So
Mhm.
I mean that's
yeah.
that's the issue. I mean, I'm sure you
Oh
meant.
yeah, 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 exactly. Yeah,
So I was like, well, I mean, you want to
yeah.
see it in a different color. That's cool. But so going back to the beliefs and stuff when it comes to the balance, what does that mean? A lot of times you got to make sacrifice to be successful. If you ever want to hear good breakdowns, listen to guys who are in the NFL and NBA. They will admit, the guys who are Hall of Famers, I completely neglected my family to do this. They'll tell you. I mean, Shannon Sharp says that he told his family and his any girlfriend, any wife that he had, whatever it was, football will always be number one. And he was very successful in what he did. He achieved what less than 1% can ever possibly hope to accomplish. Unfortunately, a lot of times in life, to achieve things, you got to not have balance.
Mm.
And that's when you got to determine what your values actually are. Do I want to be the best father in the world? Do I want to be the best husband in the world? Do I want to be the best NFL player in the world, the best podcaster in the world? So this whole thing about balance, it sounds good on paper. It sounds good to do your speeches, to your family and your wife and your kids and all your coworkers and stuff. But the reality is, to be great at things, you've got to be a master, which means you got to give countless hours to it. You hear with couples that retired, they said we didn't get a chance to really know each other until we both retired, and we're rediscovering who each other is. So to me, this balance thing is like almost kind of runs into. I haven't thought about it deeply enough, but it might be some type of nirvana fallacy, where if something nirvana fallacy is saying if it's not perfect, it's not good. And if balance is a perfection, if you will, then it's like if there's not balance, it's not good. We got to make sacrifices in life. Our slave ancestors had to make sacrifices. There wasn't going to be a lot of balance in those situations, but we're still able to get things accomplished. So I just think that this law it sounds good. I think a lot of people, especially a lot of women, would find a lot of truth in it, because the word balance makes us want to be there, right? We just want to be there. It says the word balance. Who doesn't want to be on a balance? But all of those who have had achieved things great in life, you make sacrifices, and sometimes those sacrifice people that you love and cared about.
Yeah.
All right. All right. So again, definition time. The Nirvana fallacy compare realistic solutions with idealized one, discounting, even dismissing the realistic solution as the result of comparing to a perfect world or impossible standard, ignoring the fact that improvements often good enough, a good enough reason. Yeah, that's a good one. That's a good one. All right, so do y'all want to? Anybody else want to touch on that? I guess explain and get some example
Yeah,
how, because two people agreed. I know Derek agreed, and
Yeah.
yeah.
uh, and
You want to go
D
first,
Jones.
Derek, or you want?
No, go ahead,
Yeah.
Joe.
Yeah.
Okay, okay.
I will. I actually fell more victim to what I want that question. Like put the slide back up of the definition because my idea of balance and what I was thinking is this. Let's take the person, and I'm talking about the person that believes in God, they have faith in God, and they understand that He's sovereign and He's in control of everything. Well, this to me could be balance. The balance could be, for 15 years, I struggled with being sick. I struggled with people not liking me. I struggled with being viewed as this. I struggled with that and this and that. And then in that 16th year, God did this. For me, that's balance. When God's in the mix and He's in control of what's happening, how it's happening, when it's going to happen, how it's going to take place, however that comes about in how I'm viewing this is God's balance. But I know this is saying more now that I'm analyzing it now. It's more man giving their definition of what balance is. Everything's perfect. You've got this in order. You've got that in order. That's all crazy. You know what I was thinking? For anybody that's watching this, when they're looking at any of these laws, if any of these laws can be true, if they could be true without God, that's when you ought to. That's your cue to run. That's your cue to realize that it ain't real. Because if it can happen without Him, what do we need Him for? No, so that's just my 2 cents.
All right, go ahead, D Jones.
Yeah, a few little points I was gonna say, listening to both Jane or Vulcan, my bad, and Derek talk. Um, when as like the older I get, the more I try to get into a habit of like again thinking about words I say, and I sometimes like balance has never been a negative word to me, but like I've been around people and been in rooms and been in forums where people frowned upon the word balance the way we have some of us have frowned upon the word law, and, you know what I'm saying, and manifest tonight. And so like I was thinking to myself like what could I say that might sound more appealing to the ear, and I was saying like just creating a rhythm, you know what I'm saying, like creating rhythm. So like I was saying with my brother is very successful, 38 years young, PhD in clinical psychology. Um, he's just now getting ready. He just now celebrated 1 year of marriage, and he's getting ready to have his first child in October. And he's a black man with a PhD, a college professor with full tenure. And all the time he tells me how, man, I wish I would have like maybe did things a little different, not just focused on shutting the world away and focusing on creating this lifestyle for myself, but allowed myself to kind of create more of a rhythm or more of a balance for myself in the midst of. And so, in reading it, I was like, man, like that kind of makes. I brought up Kobe Bryant and Michael Jordan earlier. Like, you know. And we brought up earlier about attracting, that's James, you said earlier about, attracting. There's so many aspects to yourself. What are you attracting? Like, Skip Bayless made it very public. He's married now, and he told his wife, "Listen, like, my journalism career will always be number one. You'll be number two. Can you handle that or not?" You know what I'm saying? Chances are, for most any woman who wants to date a person like that, you're gonna say, "Yeah, I can handle it," because of it could be opportunity, or you just don't want to miss out on what could possibly be because you're trying to. You might come off as selfish.
Yeah,
Um,
that's the thing too.
and,
Is once people pursuing the goals, like Boken was saying, it
yeah,
is actually, truth be told, there's no balance in that.
yeah,
It's either one or the other.
Yeah, yeah. I really want to speak to that. I think one of the things I shared this a little bit before is that everybody has their value system, and without getting into judging value systems on right now, I just want to say once you discover, okay, this is what I value the most in my life, and you might put a hierarchy to it, and you got to be real with yourself, and then once you do that, you're gonna have to give a different weight of effort into each one based off what you're gonna assign, and then that's maybe your balance, if you will. If you want to use the word balance, it's your balance, but it's not going to be equal.
right. I look at like marriage, for example, right? I did a research project one time over marriages, and I was trying to figure out why black marriages are at an alarming highest rate right now of divorce. Most black marriages aren't lasting more than 5 years currently. And I was doing some research and trying to figure out why, like, and then I was looking at the age in which the divorces happen. They say it's between like 45 and 50 years old. And then I started doing the math, and that's when the kids start turning 18, 19, and start leaving for college. And what happens is we put all this focus on the children. We then got married and shifted the focus to the children. No balance. So for 18 years, we focusing on these children, making sure the kids are good, the kids, subconsciously putting the kids before each other. God, then the kids, then the spouse. We didn't skip that whole thing. And so now when the kids leave the house, you look across the room and see your lady and be like, "Oh, dang, what's up, baby? Like, you looking good." And you trying to get to know her. And now she done tapped out because there was no balance. And so like there, even in that situation, like I'm looking at different examples where I'm like, man, like we have to have some type of balance, some type of rhythm, even with the success. Because like for me, in my opinion, you know what I'm saying, which you gave an eloquent point, Vulcan, but like in my opinion, it doesn't matter how much success you have or how much, you know, the praise you get for whatever it is you're interested in. Like I think we're all incomplete without that somebody to share it with.
So,
And
so
so
if you
we
could,
have to have a balance.
so if you could keep it concise, what do you want to say as far as why we should have balance? How would you explain it?
Yeah, I just think that if I'm keeping it concise, my fault. I would just say I don't think God made us to be alone, and I feel like a lot of times we push away blessings in all shape, form, fashion by being focused on just oneself.
Well, you want to speak to that as far as we need balance, or well, he referenced God. Um,
No, I don't really have much to say on that topic.
okay,
I don't have anything really to say about that.
Derek, Coach.
No, we're good.
All right.
I'll just say, so I guess when I hear balance, I think perfect balance, meaning if there's five elements in 2020, 2020, 2020, and that's not the way things are always going to be. Sometimes they're going to be 60-40. Sometimes it's going to be, 30-70. So it's not always going to be perfect balance. That's the reason why I say fall.
Yeah, and I want to speak to that. So my concern with the balance term, not that there's nothing wrong with the balance term, but just how we use it, especially when it comes to ladies. If you give somebody this false destination and you're aiming towards a target you can never actually hit, then you'll always view it negatively. You always view where you are negatively. You always look at the terrain and the journey that you're on to get to this spot you can never actually hit in a very negative way. So that's my issue with a lot of this balance, and when we tell ladies this stuff, you gotta find, your husband's gotta find a balance, whatever the case. What does that actually mean? Because some people really do think they can have their cake and eat it too. I can have a man that makes $200,000 a year, and I have them all to myself. I can have a man who's amazing in the bedroom, and he only wants to be with me.
What do you think they mean when they
I'm
say
not
that?
saying sometimes what that is for that guy to have gotten that good in the bedroom, he had to have a lot of practice. He's developed quite the appetite. not just for the amount, but also the variety.
No, he just watched luck. No, I was playing.
So, and I'm not saying it applies in every situation, but when we're talking about this balance thing, my fear is that people are aiming for a target that doesn't actually exist in the real world, and then they can never be satisfied because we're not there.
Yeah, that's what you said that earlier with the Nirvana fallacy. Comparing realistic solutions to an idealized one. So yeah. All right. Uh, what about what about what about the harmony, the law of harmony? Everything in the universe is harmony with each other, and everything is connected to each other. You are one of billions and billions of energy sources, and you are connected to all energy sources somehow. Even if you don't see it, the law tells us align ourselves with the universe. It's that alignment word coming up.
Yikes.
Agree or disagree, man? D. Jones.
Yeah, I'm gonna say because of the words I see, I'm gonna say disagree.
All right. Hold on, let me read. I don't know. I don't know if they said they need balance after they leave. Yeah. Good one. Good one. Oh man, Darren said, "Preach, Vulcan." Shout out to Vulcan, dropping them bars as usual. All right, somebody's doing the Lord's work right now. All right, let's get to Derek. True or false? Agree or disagree?
Uh, man, I was flowing with this statement until you got to the end. This, I keep forgetting this is but that law, that thing, it
Okay,
gets
coming.
me.
Not going
I do
nowhere.
think I do think everything in the universe is in harmony with each other, but it's for a whole nother reason than what this is alluding to.
Okay. All right.
So I don't know.
Oh,
I don't know. I'm on the fence. I don't know what to say there.
you got to choose, man.
All right, well then I'm gonna go no.
You're gonna know. All right.
Yeah.
All right, Coach.
Man, this is gonna be the closest one to me saying yes.
All right.
Honestly, because I do believe everything is connected.
Okay.
Everything is connected for the most part. So to what I'm understanding it to be as of right now, I'm gonna say yes for right now.
All right. You say yes. Vote. Well, before voting another comment, the first sentence is true. That's it. Everything in the universe is in harmony with each other, and everything is connected to each other. Hmm.
Right.
All right. All right. Vulcan.
I disagree,
Disagree. All
but
right.
not with every aspect of it. But the bulk of it, I have to disagree with.
All right. What about the first sentence? Help the bear say you agree with the first sentence. What about the first sentence, y'all?
I have to disagree.
All
I
right.
want to say why really bad, but I'll wait till it's my time to do so.
All right. Let's do first sentence. Coach Derek D. Jones. The first sentence. Help the bear say that's true.
Yeah, I agree with the first sentence, but after that it gets shaky like Harlem.
Okay. All right. Derek.
Yeah, no, I'm with the first sentence. I mean, we're all connected. Good, bad, or indifference.
Oh,
It
so you
is
with
what it
the
is.
first sentence? It's true.
I think we're
Oh,
all connected.
all right. I don't know if I got coach. What coach?
Yeah. I responded. I said for the most part.
Oh, so
For
we
the
got
most
three.
part, I agree with it.
All right, so let's just stick with the first. Let's do the first sentence right now. Y'all three said y'all all agree. Let's start with D Jones, Coach Derek, and then we'll take it to Vulcan.
Yeah, I think everything, just everything was created just by God. The way He created the world, the way He created the universe, like everything has a place. You know what I'm saying? Like everything kind of flows a certain way from the food chain to how our
Mm,
bodies work. Everything. I think that everything just kind of goes in alignment to make it simple and concise.
okay, we still deal with the first says everything in the universe is in harmony with each other. Now now help the bear say after the comma. Stop after the comma. Now we're gonna do the whole sentence, and everything is connected to each other. What's up, Coach?
How do I expand on that, man? I just believe that everything was created. I believe that everything is energy, just different forms of energy, and that is all connected. God made everything in perfect harmony, with no. Uh, is just made perfectly, and it's all connected. I believe that. Um, there may be something that I'm overlooking in the sentence, but from what I saw, I do believe that to be true.
All right. So all the energies. Your main point is all you believe all the energies are connected. Okay.
Oh yeah.
All right. Derek.
I'm I'm kind of in that same boat. I mean, my whole what I was thinking of this when I said yes was if I walk outside and I talk to a stranger and I say, "Hey, man, you breathing air just like me, right?"
Mm-hmm.
So we and that's something God put out so that we could live, you know, and so we're all connected in that sense. We're all connected in the sense that we don't know who is affected by us, but we know someone's affected by us. Um, there's nobody walking around on this earth, whether it's a homeless person or businessman, that has zero impact on someone in this world because God is in control and everything that is breathing life is serving a purpose under whatever it is that he wants, you know, to be done. So from that standpoint, I think we're
Okay. All right. So you're saying it's similar, some uh, similar to what Coach said.
yeah,
Coach said is energy. You're saying, I mean, I guess you could say oxygen. Like you said, we breathe in the same air. One of the ways that we are connected.
yeah.
If this mic could talk, said great statement for sure. Shout out to if this mic could talk. Woken said you disagree with the first line. For
Yeah.
those
So on that first line,
first line,
everything,
everything in the
every
universe is harmony.
yes, and everything in the universe is harmony with each other, and everything is connected to each other. Now, the connected part, that part I would agree with. The first part about the harmony, there's two ways we could take this. Harmony is pretty much always used in a positive sense, right?
Mm.
So I'm gonna focus on if we're talking about the positive sense of everything's in harmony, it's definitely not true. But before I get into why it's not true, I'll get into the ways in which it is true. We know that termites eat wood, but they can't actually break down the wood. So there's a bacteria in their body that breaks on the wood for them. That's a symbiotic relationship, right? We learned that in science class. That's harmony right there. We know that stars create this and all that kind of difference. So there's a lot of harmony in there, right? But also we got to think about when it says everything in the universe, a lot of times we forget we are a part of that everything in the universe. Are we always in harmony? Are we not seeing divorces? Are we not seeing that the leading cause of death for most black men is homicide? Is that harmony? So we can think of all the ways in which there is harmony, and we all would agree. But there's a lot of disharmony. Look at politically what's going on right now. Look what happened before the last election. There's a lot of disharmony.
But there's a difference between being made in harmony and staying in harmony.
So yeah, absolutely right. So I want to address that part too. You know, the Bible says that God made man upright, but he sought out many schemes. The Bible says there'll come a time where the lion and the lamb will lay down together. Right now, a lion and a lamb can't lay down together. It's not going to happen. But there will come a day where that will happen, be the case. So there was a time when we had nirvana on the earth. The land is cursed, and now there's a lot of disharmony. And so that being the case, even though God did create the place in a harmonious way, there's a lot of ways in which it is harmonious. There's a lot of different ways in which it's not harmonious at all. You can be deleted for wearing the wrong colors. So that's why I would have to say that the harmony part is definitely not a real thing. And then if you take harmony being a good thing out of the I mentioned about the harmony being a good thing, how we use it. I've always heard it used in a good way, a good connotation, if you will. If we just make it neutral and say that whether the gang member deletes you, but then your body goes in the ground and fertilizes the grass and all that kind of stuff. Somebody could say that's still harmony, right? The lion eats the lamb, the meat that's on the floor, the fungus, everything that takes advantage to make the trees come out that gives us oxygen so that the rest of us can live when the victim of the gangbanger passes away. The issue with that belief, once you make harmony neutral and just make it the cycle of life, is that it takes morality out. People that tend to have that belief that the yin and the yang, that everything equals out and harmonious, they don't believe in right and wrong. They don't believe that there's such thing as good or evil. because evil is just as necessary as good, which is not Christian doctrine, not Abrahamic doctrine at least. So either way, you're going to run into problems. So if you take harmonious to be a good thing, there's a lot of things that aren't good that are happening that just shows it's not true. You take harmonious to just mean the circle of life, whether you're on the good side or the bad side of it, you're still running wrong because now you don't even believe in morality anymore. There is no higher good, because if all things are the universe and all things are harmonious, then trafficking is harmonious with what we have going on. So why would we eradicate it? Why would we try to get rid of trafficking? Why would we try to fight against cancers? It's harmony. There are things that are bad. There are things that are inhibiting harmony. So that's why I would disagree with that first sentence.
Coach, you want to speak to that?
I hear what he's saying, but I don't think it falls in line with definition of harmony the way I see it. So it doesn't really apply. The statements he made doesn't really apply because it doesn't fall into the way I see harmony.
How do you see it?
Because it says everything is made in harmony. So the essence of how it was made initially doesn't mean it's going to stay that way. You know, if I make something and it changes its form or it goes away from the way that I made it, it doesn't mean it wasn't made in perfect harmony. It just didn't remain in that. So that's what I mean by that. I understand what he's saying though, but the statement said it's made in harmony.
Yeah, I believe it said everything in the universe is in harmony with each other, and everything
right, but it does not going to remain that way.
Okay.
So is the in present tense, or is it speaking of creation?
I guess it's left into interpretation.
And everything's connected to each other.
Anybody got anything on that on the end, whether it's present tense or referring to the past? We got any grammarians or linguists in the room?
Sound like it's referring to the present. Everything in the universe is harmony with each other. Yeah, I would say so.
Yeah, that seems present. Fellas, I gotta wrap it up though. I gotta be up in a few hours, man. I appreciate y'all as always. Before I go though, y'all was talking about that Tekken, man. If anybody wants to see me, I got 6, 7, and 8 over here, 73 inches. You just let me know you can get this word.
I appreciate you for joining us.
All right, fellas, we'll catch up.
Coach, appreciate you.
Hey. All right. Anybody, D. Jones, you want to respond to what Vulcan was saying as far as?
Before we do that, like, did you want to? How long we want to keep going? Like 15, 20 minutes, 30 minutes? How much longer y'all want to keep going with this?
I'm about to have to get off soon too. You know, I teach, so I'm you know what I'm saying. We back at school already for professional development, but
yeah.
So
we want to finish this one off, or sir?
Yeah, we can just finish this off. Derek.
So we'll finish this one off and we'll call it a day.
All right. No, I don't have anything to add. I mean, I think that what you said as far as what people could say this is with, if you had the gangbanger and he kills somebody, well, it's harmonic because he goes to the earth and then that whole process. I can
circle of life.
Yeah. So it kind of goes back to the statement I was trying to make earlier, is that if you can do something, or if you say something is happening, and if it actually is happening, or if you could do it and it doesn't require God, any statements like that or any situations like that is your cue to think. If you can do it and God don't have to be in the picture, if people that are watching this, that should be one of the things you learn from the day, is if I hear somebody say something and I can do it or believe it and I don't need God, that's how you know it's faulty.
Shout out to If This Mike Could Talk. He said that boy Enos is tired. Young King. I'm all right, man. I'm all right. All right. So negative things can be in harmony. Okay.
Right?
Light bulb
Crips.
moment. Pause. Pause, coach. Yeah, that was yes, that was
Yeah, he
pause.
said, "Come get this work." I was like,
Yeah,
wow, you know.
yeah, yeah. Definitely pause. Teach that lesson, brother. D Jones. All right, so yeah, we gotta
Oh,
like I
that's
said, we're gonna
funny.
wrap this up with the last two questions as far as, you know, showing some more showing that biblical support or scientific support. I think like Derek, you said you agree, D Jones agreed. So can y'all show some examples or some support from the Bible or some scientific evidence?
I,
Elaborate on that a little bit more.
I, I James, Balkan's gonna get me for this. Hey, in Ecclesiastics, it says there's a time and a place for everything. So murder, death, life, love, all of that stuff. So someone could say, well, there's the harmony. Bible says everything, there's a time and a place for everything. So someone could look at that as a harmonic, event.
Mm. All right. D Jones?
Well, I know Romans 12 in the King James Version says, "Be of the same mind one toward another. Mind not high things, but condescend to men of low estate. Be not wise in your own conceits," and so forth. So, I think it's just speaking in general, just like living in harmonious. Like even when the Bible speaks about like basically like it's I don't know exactly what verse it is, but it's saying like you want friends, be friendly. Like being friendly gets you friends. So like I think that's just kind of speaks on just I know Vulcan was speaking on it earlier. You don't really see the word harmony associated with negativity, and so like I think the word in itself was just created for just positivity. So I mean, that's my thought.
Yeah, well, Boca, you definitely disagree. So you want to go ahead and give your rebuttal?
I mean, I think that D. Jones said it pretty well, and so did Derek. I think when it comes to harmony, the Bible tells us to live harmoniously, and so why would it tell us to do this if we couldn't live any other kind of way? So, I mean, obviously, you can live outside of harmony. That's why I keep emphasizing. Anytime people talk about the universe, the universe, the universe, according to modern day science, we are made of stardust. Now, I'm not saying I personally believe that, but that's the belief. The universe is all that exists. That includes me, you, our kids, our the hair, on our face. Everything is a part of the universe. The universe is just all that exists in the natural world. So anytime you hear people saying the universe, pray to the universe, that's pantheism. It's basically saying that God is all things, and all things are God. So you just got to keep that in mind because when we think universe, we think look up in the sky, but you don't have to do that. The grass is the universe. Oxygen, nitrogen, that's the universe.
Mm.
I also wanted to add something else about the harmony too. Like I know I said it earlier. Like a lot of times preachers or people who are in the church, like they're just speaking about the book, aka the Bible, but they're not teaching you to apply it. And so if we apply the word harmony, living a harmonious way, then more people will be programmed to be like, I got to be good, positive. Instead, we say these words and just allow them to keep living the lifestyle they've been living. Like I've always said this too. Like when you have a person in church, like who's ready to go to the altar and make that change in their life, like they should be knowledgeable about the change they're getting ready to make. Not just go up there because it looked good or sound good, or because somebody told them to go do it. Like you want to live a harmonious life, and so be
Yeah.
knowledgeable about exactly what you're getting ready to do. You can't play with that.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
let me ask, depending in what ways do you think that, because Vocal, you just said this is a pantheistic belief, right? What?
It's very pantheistic if you're gonna if you believe in a god, you're a deist or theistic in some kind of way because you're that's what you're saying. The universe is this, the universe is that. The universe is an inanimate object.
Mm.
So anytime when we're ascribing all of these qualities to the universe, we're calling it God in a sense because we're trying to make it into an individual that can have morality or not have morality or have harmony or disharmony or whatever the case may be. those words don't even really make sense in inanimate objects. Is my chair that I'm sitting in harmonious? So it depends which way you want to go with the wording.
Yeah.
But technically speaking, the universe is just an inanimate object like anything else.
Well, I guess I just want to ask how and what. I guess what.
And sorry, lastly, the second law of thermodynamics, it's tending toward decay. If it's harmonious, why is it decaying? Why is it going away? At least at the state that it's in now.
Derek, you got anything?
Nope. Good.
Yeah, I just wanted to ask. I just want to ask y'all, how do y'all? I guess this is my last question for you. Why and how did these teachers actually got inside of the church?
If we want to make it short, the Bible said it best when it said people are not going to listen to sound doctrine. Their ears want to be tickled, and that could not be more true in these churches, man. You could say some stupid stuff and make it sound good, and you're gonna have 200 or 300 people that will tune in to hear it again. And so, yeah, I think that's the biggest reason is what God said was going to happen in that respect is absolutely happening.
D. Jones?
Can you repeat the question one more time? I'll make sure I hear it clearly.
Just give examples of why or how or what you think why these teachers, crept inside of our church, or why the preachers teach on pantheism.
I mean, honestly, just to make it super simple for me, I think it's because, again, like I said earlier, I think people hear about something and it becomes popular, and then people take it and it sounds deep, and then they just feel like, oh, I got to tell people this because it sounds good. Like this book is one of the most popular books that they that even people like in jail, like when they go to jail, it's one of the books that people come out and they say, I read this book when I was in there. You know what I'm saying? Like it's a very popular book. So when these trends become popular, people feel like, ooh, let me get on that train and tell everybody about it. And that ain't always the right thing to do.
And what was the book you were referring to?
Law of Attraction. The one we're talking about, the 7
The
Laws of
Secret.
Attraction.
Oh, okay, yeah, I know The Secret is one of them. Or Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill.
Yeah,
that's a big one too. All right,
Yeah.
Vocal.
I just had a brain fart. Oh yeah, I was gonna talk about the Bible thing. So yeah, I think part of it is, and D. Jones kind of covered people that were somewhat raised in the church. You learn it as a kid. Dinesh D'Souza calls it like crayon Christianity. So mind's not really active when you're learning stuff in the church, but you're still learning everything else in the because you still got to go to real school and learn whatever those textbooks teach. Then you learn whatever your friends are teaching you, whatever the music's teaching you, whatever the adults are teaching you that don't know theology either. So we get schooled in every kind of worldly philosophy, and then we eat cookies and milk at the Sunday school lesson. That's what, an hour, 2 hours max. So what happens is that there's an imbalance there, and then they don't get into deep theology a lot of times in those Sunday school things. So if you're raised in a church, you're kind of unfortunately at a loss because there's no way that whatever you're learning in Sunday school by the lowest common denominator teacher they have in there, because they're not preaching on the main stage, they're preaching to the kids. Generally that's the person who's the weakest link, or the most youthful or whatever it is. So and so what happens is that's the person's raised in the church. People that are not in the church at all, they're not getting any type of teaching. So all of it sounds good to you. You're hearing, you have itching ears. You're hearing teachings that sound good, things you would like to believe. Obviously, I would like to believe that I can manifest whatever I want to manifest if I just believe in it all the way. That's easy. That's really just magic at that point.
Yeah.
Let me not knock on wood. People still doing that. Let me not knock on wood. What? Where did that come from? But people knocking on wood. There's no wood to knock on something else. I was walking recently. A lady was like, there was a pole next to us. And the lady was like, don't make me walk on the other side. I don't want to split the pole. I was like, whether you walk on the left or the right side of it, you're not splitting the pole. The pole's going to be where it was. If you walk through the pole somehow, then you're splitting it. But we can just kind of create, the pole is splitting us, if anything. So it gets really weird. We have all these superstitions that we want to believe, and we want to have a control that really is reserved for God.
Yeah.
That control that we're trying to have over the universe is we're trying to steal God's glory, steal God's power.
Yeah.
Those are things that are out of our control.
That's good. I think we covered this topic.
Yep.
Like I said, this was another requested topic. D. Jones, I know you had some things you want to promote. We're going to go around the room. Thank you for joining us. Go ahead and let our people know what you got, man.
Yeah, man. Like I said, just again, I want to thank y'all, each individually for allowing me to be a part of y'all's production. I feel like I had a seat at y'all's table tonight, and I enjoyed the meal for sure. So, um, yeah, I have my own podcast. It's called If This Mic Could Talk. Talk about everything: relationships, hot topics, current events, scenarios, et cetera, et cetera. A lot of high energy, good laughs, play games on the show. I go live every Sunday and Wednesday from YouTube, so you can definitely check it out. But yeah, that's really it, man. Just I appreciate getting into different forms of brothers, and having some strong men iron sharpening iron, and just continuing having conversation and building each other up.
Definitely, definitely. We got to collab. If I could ask you one question, what are some things that maybe you learned or might have changed your mind on?
Yeah, for sure, man. Like I said earlier, just the whole word manifestation in general. What I'm saying, like, just like I said, I mean, I heard my mama say not too long ago. She said people keep on saying that word and they're not really understanding. And remember, I spoke earlier about the wisdom. She, in her 60s now, so she got a lot more wisdom than even I have. And so she, she said that, and then I listened to y'all speaking, made me look up the word, and it was like a big aha moment for me. So that, and then just law, what I'm saying, like saying things are law. And Derek, he said it like twice, I think, but I really love what he said earlier. Um, any thoughts you're having about anything, if you feel like it's, I'm forgetting how he said it, but any thought you're having about anything, if you can take God out of it, then you gotta know it's faulty. And at the end of the day, that's the whole foundation of everything, keeping God first. So
Mm, okay. Hey, well, we appreciate you for joining us, man. Thank you for tuning in.
Absolutely.
Thank you for being part of this dialogue for sure, man.
yes, sir. I
Derek.
appreciate you.
Mhm. Derek.
Oh,
Um,
I'm good, man. I will tell you one thing that I learned today is I know a lot of the Bible, but there's a lot of things that I feel like I just know internally,
mhm.
but I want to get better at knowing where those scriptures are. Because it's one thing to know it's false. It's a whole nother animal to say this is why it's false. And I want to do a better job at that.
Yeah. I guess I'll go ahead and welcome you have the last words, but man, appreciate you saying that, D. Jones, being transparent as far as like I said,
Yeah.
the aha the moment you have. This is why we do it. We're definitely here to try to. I mean, the show is really tailored towards Vulcan. This is what motivated us to do the show because I think he has a unique skill set and understanding how to think. One thing I want to encourage our culture because you see this. Well, we are the Western culture, but we see more in other cultures, particularly the white culture, they do have a high respect for philosophers. And a philosopher's job is to show you and teach you how to think. And I do look at Vulcan and good at that skill set. So yeah, so that's all I want to say. This
Oh, that's
was
it. Can I say one more thing? My bad.
mm, good.
I want to say one thing. I want to say real fast. I want to give a shout out to Vulcan, man. It's crazy. We grew up together, man. San Antonio, Texas, Live Oak. Like we play basketball every single day out there hooping and just walking the neighborhood, just being young knuckleheads. But like
Mhm.
seeing where you are now, man, like hearing you speak, what I'm saying? People tell me all the time how I speak very intelligent and all that stuff. And I guess, my grandma always said birds of a feather flock together. So now hearing you speak, it's like a thing, man. Like I was never around like people who didn't have like, the mindset to want to be better. And so like hearing you speak,
Um,
man, so eloquently and just like the way you present yourself is dope, bro.
I appreciate that, man, for sure, for sure.
Yeah.
It's funny because I remember me and Derek went to the same church for a season, and it's always a funny story because even though he and I went to the same church, we never had a chance to really have a real conversation. We might have been around each other during conversation. And one time we were playing ball at this church, and after the church was over, we were having a conversation. I was talking about maybe getting married. He knew the lady I was gonna end up marrying, and he knew how she was a smart lady, you know, doing her thing. And he was like, at first I thought she was too mature for you, but after talking to you, y'all be perfect for each other. As far as the, you know, he was like, you're smarter than I thought you were, basically, kind of a thing. You know, and typically because I know my perspective is so, you know, as Derek would say, they're kind of out of the box. Even once I start explaining it, people go, oh, it actually does make a lot of sense. But when I speak at first, people are like, this guy is crazy, out of his head, out of his mind. You know, I was working with somebody today, a guy who works with me, and he was like, seemed like you're always just trying to go against the grain. And I get it. Like, the stuff I say is so different than what the common belief is.
Yeah.
That they're thinking he has to be doing this on purpose. There's no way you disagree with everything I'm saying.
Yeah.
And that's really what the passion about the show was about, is I think a lot of us, we never learn how to think critically.
Yeah.
Some of us are varying degrees of ability to do it naturally. When we do learn stuff in school, scientific method, we learn different techniques to learn how to think critically. But as far as a discipline, you know, we're talking about what discernment was earlier. And somebody had mentioned it's about building up your spirit, man. And I'm not saying that's not true to some extent, but the way you build up your spirit, man, for the most part, when it comes to discernment, is by learning how to think better. Romans 12, as was mentioned earlier, commands us to be reasonable, reason. You know, Christ, the logos, where we get the word logic from. We need to be logical. The man who presents his case first seems right, until another comes and cross-examines him. It's a logical aspect of it. You know, the apostles would debate about topics, and the best argument would have to win. How can two walk together unless they be in agreement? We're going to have to reason through this. There's no mystical force that's going to take over our body and tell you all truths. You know, one of my favorite pastors, John MacArthur, says that the apostles got their words by inspiration. And that doesn't mean inspiration in the way we use it now. Something, you know, makes you want, motivates you. Like breathed in, inspired, something that's breathed into you. And when they spoke, they were speaking the word of God. He says, they got theirs from inspiration. We get ours from perspiration. We have to sweat. We have to toil to get these words. And being reasonable is not always easy because there's a moral component. Sometimes you have your own biases. Sometimes you have a result you want to see happen. And then you have to start filtering those biases out and going, am I being fallacious right now? Am I being illogical? That means I'm being unreasonable. That means I'm being sinful. That means I'm corrupting justice. And it's an abomination in the Bible to corrupt justice.
Yeah.
If I'm having to decide between things that affects people and I'm being unfair, I'm showing partiality, that's wicked.
Yeah.
That's why being reasonable is so important. So a lot of the focus, if you go to Bible college, you take a course in logic. So that's really important, and we've lost that, especially within the Black community. We're so much, a lot of our esoteric spiritualities really emphasize intuition as supremacy of discernment. I just know. And I want to connect that last part to what was said earlier about, you know, Derek was mentioning about wanting to not just, you know, you have the scriptures, you have a sense of the scriptures, you kind of have an idea of what's in there, but knowing where it is. Knowledge is justified true belief. To know something is to say that I can justify, I can show how it's right.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm gonna connect 2 points. One, the intuition thing. A lot of that stuff you can't show it's right. If I have an intuition, I just know this person. People like, I can sense their energy. I can feel their energy. You're not feeling energy. You're at our big old age, all of us, your subconscious and your mind can notice the slightest pattern change in people. So you didn't notice their energy. You saw their mannerism. You saw their facial expression. And you're able to read that and go, that person's not having in a good mood. There's nothing in the Bible that's, sorry, go ahead.
I got a cop behind me.
Oh, nice.
Oh, great.
Put him on the show.
I'm gonna come out.
Oh.
I'm on a podcast. Yeah, I'm so sorry. I'll get out of the parking lot. No, you're good. Oh, okay. You look suspicious because you're next to the truck. Oh. Trash cans. I don't know if you're like throwing stuff away or something. Oh no. I'm on a Zoom. You're good. Okay.
Wow.
Right, we good.
You're supposed to be dead right now, from what I'm told.
Hey, don't say that.
Oh yeah.
Speak that.
It's supposed to be deleted.
Don't speak that to existence.
No, don't speak it into existence. My fault. Yeah, so and then close. I just want to say that's the passion about it. Knowledge is justified true belief. Justified meaning you can show how it's right. It's like when you're in math class and you memorize what 2 + 2 was and you put 4. The teacher still wants to know, how do you know it's 4? You teaching the kids how to read, but they start memorizing the words because you use the words so many times they can memorize the word. Do they know how to read? Or can they sound out the words? Or do they just memorize those markings on the paper now? That's the difference between being able to read and not being able to read and memorize and markings on the paper. So the justified true belief, that goes to why we want to be able to show, hey, the Bible says this, right? This scripture says this. So I can provide that for somebody. Same thing goes with the discernment component of it. Knowing that something's false by being able to show it's false because you can, through reason, break it down so somebody else can benefit from it. Somebody can't benefit from your intuition because you can't demonstrate your intuition to them. All you're doing is forming a cult. If I say, hey, look, listen, don't do that. Why? I got a feeling about it. What? So should I now go to you for all things in my life? Because I can't learn that skill. That's something you have. So reasoning is something that anybody can learn how to do.
Did you define the biblical way how to define was it discernment? Did you define that? How the Bible defines discernment?
Discernment
versus how everybody look at discernment more, intuitive.
Well, the Bible just defines discernment always the same way by comparing things to Scripture.
Mm-hmm.
And the last thing I'll say on this topic about people, get wrapped up in their experience. I was talking to a guy recently. He was talking about, man, you don't understand. I mean, I got special skills and special abilities. God speaks to me, and I healed somebody. I did all these different things right there. I'm like, so God gave you all these skills, and yet you still don't even understand the gospel? Or God gave you all these skills, but you still sleep with every woman that you come across? God's more concerned with your life of holiness than he is about you being able to heal somebody's knee. You can heal that person's knee and they go to hell. Just being honest with you.
Yeah.
So I'm not saying that stuff doesn't have its place, but my point is saying that discernment is comparing things to Scripture. What does Scripture say? Sometimes we have a wrong view of what Scripture says. Sometimes we think it said this, but really don't say this. Cleanliness is less than godliness. It's not in there. The red devil with the pitchfork. It's not in there.
Oh, what's the other one? God only puts on you what you can bear.
Yeah, God only puts on you what you can bear.
Mm-hmm.
Not true. Paul said that he wished for death. All the stuff that God put on him. He said he was wishing for death. It's not. It's nowhere in the text. The text that they're referring to is the one that talks about when it comes to sexual sin, God will give you a way out. And they took that text and made God leaves his toughest battles for his strongest soldiers. That's worship of man.
Yeah.
No, you're not. God didn't give you that tough battle because you're his toughest soldier. A lot of times the tough battle was our own sin. Let's keep it real. You like somebody you were told not to like, and now you caught up in a situation you shouldn't have been in, and you're going like, dang, I got the toughest battles, and I must be strong. In the Bible, Gideon, who was called a mighty valiant warrior, and he wasn't valiant. God wants the credit. God probably picked you because you weren't that.
Yeah.
We can keep it real, because then who gets the credit for it?
He does.
If you're this tough person and you overcome a tough situation, who gets the credit for it?
Yeah.
You do.
Yeah, you do.
So a lot of this is just backwards theology because we don't actually look at the text and try to figure out what it means. We go off what great grandmama told us, or pastor said. Amen, pastor. Instead of amen, scripture. So that's my 3 cents.
Mic drop.
Mic drop.
Right. All right, that's the end. Just help the bear said, whoa, when the cop pulled up high there. Said, don't do that in Tennessee. All right, for all our viewers, for all our votes, thank you for tuning in. Again, thank you, Derek. Derek always coming, having these discussions with us. We always love to have you on this platform, man. Thank you for joining us.
Appreciate you guys.
D. Jones, thank you, man. You actually said a lot of good things today. And as usual, Vulcan, man. Thanks for the insight. All right. Until next time.
All right, fellas.
Peace out.